Live tonight, Architects of Humanity, broadcasting from the asylum called Planet Earth. This is controlling the past because that's how they control the future. And whoever controls the present controls the past. So people have to take it upon themselves to search and see what the past has to offer to basically own their own future. Because if not, they'll be going into the future believing what somebody has told them so they can control it. A lot of people that turn into atheists from the religion of evolution walk forward into the past believing nothing. Other people that adhere to certain religions will go forward into the past looking, dreaming to go to the crime scene disguised as paradise that they call heaven. So if a person doesn't seek the past, the truth about it, how are they really going to understand the future? This is why I titled this Controlling the Past. There was a point where I think they were searching for something in Egypt and the military came out and prevented it. There's a lot of sites today that are militarized. Whenever an archaeological site is found, they bring in the military. Certain people, they have their rats that watch the site and report back if anything happens, so they can bring military aid, as they call it, but really force, military force, to secure the area. Secure it from what? Secure it from people learning about the past, the truth about the past. If you were to learn something that was true about the past, you would behave differently if you were still aware. There are caves in France, right, with the Paleolithic cave paintings sealed off to the public. And they try to say, well, it's to stop deterioration, from carbon dioxide from visitors. But really, they've already solidified the story. Oh, these were from cave people that made these paintings. And sometimes people have said some of the paintings look like they were made from children. You think about that. Children, that makes kind of a lot of sense on some of it. But you can't check it out because it's sealed off. So right there, they're controlling the past. The fact that only certain people are allowed to go to the pyramids into certain areas. There are certain areas in Turkey that have been sealed off. And this prevents people from learning the truth about the past. We know that off the coast of Brazil, you can't dive. Because once again, the military prevents anybody from finding the truth out about the past. Even the Titanic, people can't go there. They try to say, well, it's international waters, but when it's war, they don't care about that. Remember, I said before, you can't trust any politician. You can't really trust people working for them. You can't trust celebrities in any form, musicians, sports, movie stars, all of them bought and paid for. And even when they come out as rebels, they could still be lying. They're paid to lie. Professors in universities paid to lie. Now, we know in China, if people think that China is very rebellious and, there's a difference between them and the rest of the world, no, everything's controlled by one thing. Because they sealed off the tomb of Emperor Jindi, right? Or Jingdi, as some people would call it. Some parts are under glass, but large sections of it remain closed to so-called preserve, right? To preserve fragile organic materials. Well, why not just seal them off in glass as well? Right? That, knowing about our past is very important. The fact that they plant trees on top of ancient pyramids and sites like Göbekli Tepe, where you can't root them up by law, shows you just how much they are afraid of people finding out about the past. Because if you find out about the past, you'll change the way you look at the future. and the present. Mark, good to see you, man. Always a pleasure, bro. They control the past to control the future. Southern part of Lake Van in Turkey. That is also, it's unexcavated ruins, but of vanished civilizations, right? And it's difficult to access, but again, you will have the military coming there. Nubian pyramids in Sudan. What do you have in Sudan? Constant war because of what? Religion. Again, they use that as a front to destroy stuff. We look at the pyramids. We look at the Temple of Dendera. Faces carved off by who? Ottoman Empire, Romans, religious nutcases. To prevent what? Knowledge of the past. Anybody can look who still thinks and read about the burning down of libraries. Why would somebody burn a library down? To destroy the past, right? Knowledge. I forgot the emperor's name from China who had the past destroyed because he wanted to be known as the only emperor, the first emperor. I mean, horrible when you think of these things. It's like, what is so amazing? There has to be something like astonishing, shocking about our past that the so-called criminals that run the planet, that basically have hijacked it, are afraid of us finding out. What could be so important? That should make a person think. I wonder myself, the Titanic, when you think about that, it's like, what would we find down there? Would we find that it was a hoax? Look at the catastrophes, the so-called accidental ones. Again, controlling the past. You can't ask questions. They came out with a book, the 9/11 Commission. That's crazy. I wonder myself, when I think about it, the zombies are everywhere. They'll make a song about it. Say, hey, everybody forget about it. Sing this song, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, right? It's like, can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? It's ridiculous. Mr. X, good to see you. Always, man. Got the link pinned up there. Whenever you're ready. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? I think this is Jake. What's up, Jake?
MD, how's it going? Great topic.
Thanks, man. Yeah, man. Searching for the past, bro. Searching for the past. Just like we found out garden is an ancient word for laboratory. It gives a whole new meaning when people say, oh, Adam and Eve were creating in the Garden of Eden. Oh, you mean a lab of Eden? A laboratory of Eden? Is that what it is?
Is that you said it's an ancient word? Is that like in a certain culture, in a like Hebrew culture or Greek or Latin or something like that?
Well, actually, let me see. I'll look it up again. Garden in ancient lore are often metaphors for laboratories. So they don't say any specific one, but experimental sites or nature, for nature or power, king's gardens in antiquity, in England and Jamaica and stuff like that. So we have gardens being looked at in a few cultures, like Persian especially, alchemical and mystic labs. In Persian and Sufi tradition, the rose garden serves as a setting for mystical and spiritual transformation, a laboratory for the soul's development, gardens of mystery, Gol Shanaraz. That's what they call them. Remember Persian?
Wow.
Yeah, before
something where something could be created, basically, like similar to a garden. They didn't have a word
Exactly.
for a laboratory, so they called it a garden, because that's where things can be
Hmm.
created. It's very interesting.
And look at gardens, really nice botanicals. They're in like these glass domes, right? These glass houses to raise plants from different areas that wouldn't naturally survive in certain climates, and also to protect them. Once again, a shielded environment, a protective environment. Mr. X, good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you, MD. Good to see you. Interesting topic, though. The garden. They're definitely they're keeping the past from us. They're not telling us the truth, but they're definitely hiding a lot of information.
Any
What?
type of finding out. Yeah.
Hmm.
I was going to say, I actually have a theory on this. I actually just watched a documentary on basically time travel. Basically, there's been recent discoveries that, we talk about different dimensions and things like that. And basically, the gravitational pull, it changes. And, basically they take like an average around the world, and like every 10 years or every year, something like that, like they just put all the averages around the world together. But there are certain gravitational pull anomalies, and they happen for certain reasons, and basically they happen in accordance with the stars, like the alignment of the stars. And the calendar actually lines up better with the like an ancient star calendar compared to like a sun calendar, because how we have to do like a leap year, and things don't quite line up, so it never really made sense. And so these calendars align with the star calendars, and it's actually very predictable when you use that ancient calendar when these anomalies occur.
Hmm.
Anyway, then we started relating these anomalies to the equations, and actually we had these equations originally, then someone simplified them. Basically, it was like 20 different math equations that had to do with space and time, which had to do a little bit with gravity. And then basically those 20 equations were simplified down to 4 equations, but the 4 equations limit the possibility of certain like wavelengths, which is how you get like anti-gravity vehicles, basically like UFOs, and then also allows for space-time travel. Now, this has been shown in the movie Hellboy. The plus sign people in Germany during the Second World War, they created a bell-shaped time travel machine. And this is kind of like documented and known, but it's kind of been covered up and not taught in schools. But they did basically prove that, space-time travel was possible with these inventions. And then we all know Operation Paperclip after the Second World War, is that, half went to America, half went to the Soviet Union, and then others were kind of dispersed in other regions in the world, but that's where the majority of them went, those two superpowers. So now, just recently, there's all these documentaries coming out, because a lot of scientists, there was a Air Force general in charge of a UFO program. There was scientists who were basically working on like space-time travel theories and projects and things like that. A
Mhm.
lot of them have mysteriously gone missing just very recently, like within the last couple months, few months, like just within this year. A lot have all of a sudden vanished. Like these are like fathers, mothers, husbands, wives, and their family. They're just like gone. Well, in one instance, they were going on a hike. They're 30 yards behind them. All of a sudden, like they turn around to start talking to them, and they're just gone. There's video footage of mom bringing her kid some lunch to their school or their cafeteria. That was the last time she was seen on camera, and all of a sudden she's gone. Like, and so these top level scientists and generals and researchers in this field now, UFO, space-time travel, things like this, are just mysteriously gone now. My theory is about the past is that we have traveled to the future, and the reason why these knowledge from the past is being libraries being burned, that this knowledge is being destroyed, is because I think we already have time travel. We already know the secrets, and we're trying to destroy them because we've put enough pieces together to have that information. We don't want other nations finding it out, or whoever has the space-time travel technology. And it's kind of like a war in the future, that they're coming back to the past now and destroying a lot of this knowledge and information. Just my 2 cents on the subject. It's a very interesting concept.
Mm.
Um, well, the thing that I would like to add into that why I don't really subscribe to it is that again it puts us in that fantasy position of being in charge, of humans being in charge. It gives the whole, hey, we humans are using time travel. We're not farm animals. We haven't been created by something, or if we have, they left. They're not here. Daddy's not home anymore. The abusive parents aren't here anymore. Um, Another one is thinking we won World War II. The Nazis, when you look at it, may have been much more advanced than we think. Whoever was using them, whoever was like when you look at World War II and all of the other wars, it seems as if they were created to destroy the past. So if you had time travel, right? If we could control time travel, humans, I don't think there would be a rush to get all doing all this stuff because you got all the time in the world now. So remember, they are masters of deception. Once it's something like when I see these people talking about, oh, UFOs, and all of this stuff, and I'm like, okay, so you got somebody that's coming from possibly other galaxies or in Earth, and they're afraid of us. And it's like it comes from a superiority complex. Like picture aliens saying, hey, you know what? Or the architects of humanity creating people. And we say, look, we're going to use these people to eradicate everything that's on the surface, strip mine it, and on the premise that they're better than the rest of the people on the planet. And that would be manifest destiny. We see that in the American literature. And we'll tell them that, from sea to shining sea, right? And that was the expansion, which really is the invasion. So we look at how language changes, how we would look at it. So wait a minute, that's not an expansion. It was two thieves and more fighting over a land that belonged to other people were living on. Mexico cries about America stealing away land, right? When they say remember the Alamo, right? When I was in Texas, it's always remember the Alamo, right? But if you study the Alamo, that was a fight to take that area from Mexico because Mexico outlawed slavery. The Alamo was about keeping slavery intact, and any slave or any kidnapped person abducted that could get across to Mexico was free. The same thing in the War of 1812. Blacks that fought with the British were automatically freed. They burnt down the White House partially. The puppet in charge ran away like the cowards that they are. You never see a president that has any courage. You have to put a cowardly lion from the Wizard of Oz in these positions. They can only bully people. So the blacks were relocated by the British in the island of Trinidad. And that's why it was British run. A lot of people don't like to talk about that. They imagine if people really looked at that and they said, wait a second. So blacks fought with the British against the American colonized blacks, but also American blacks that wanted freedom to say, look, I'm tired of being oppressed here. So we have that. We have the so-called expansion, the invasion, the plunder across to the West Coast. And it was all due to, remember, manifest destiny. So now you'll do anything your master says. And that's what we see. When you look at anybody that works in law enforcement, politics, these people are ready to bow. Look at how people are calling this buffoon, Archie Bunker, in office. They're looking at him like a king. I've seen guys that used to study philosophy saying, oh, they're ready to bend their knee to a true king. And I was like, you bend your knee long enough and your slavery becomes something that looks like something good. I forgot the word for it, but it's like, your slavery, your obedience becomes a virtue, basically. So you think you're virtuous, but you're a slave to a monster, actually.
There's actually a great line in one of my favorite movies, the movie 300, where the Persian king comes to whatever the king's name,
Yeah.
Spartan
Yeah,
at that time.
to the closet king.
Yeah, yeah. He comes, and in the movie he says, "Yeah, all you have to do, is kneel before me. I'll make you king of your lands." And he says, I'd really like to kneel, but the problem is, after slaughtering all your men, I have this nasty cramp in my thigh, and I just can't knee to anyone else. And it's kind of a funny, but just like, it kind of relates to what you said. Like, if you kneel before another man, like you're accepting he's your king, like you're a coward. You're going to die on your knees.
And you know what the funny thing is? They died on their knees. If anybody looks up the real story of Sparta, remember they had to say in that movie, they call the other Greeks boy lovers. What people don't know, Greeks would have women shave their heads so they would look more like boys from behind when they had sex with them. Greek is so closet, just like Egypt and all these other cultures. So it was sort of like, one, they all got slaughtered, so they did not win. And I remember a friend of mine watching that during, I think it came out like right around 01, around there when they were invading Iraq. My nephew's an airborne ranger. And I remember him watching that. And, he loves that movie. He's like, oh, man, I love this movie. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, damn, you were stupid as a kid, but now you're just like an idiot as an adult. And he's a 3-time Iraq veteran. He's a good guy. He's a good kid. He's an obedient kid. He doesn't want trouble. He's not a killer. I told him not to enter the army, but he didn't listen. And now basically, I guess from all the injuries, he has to, chew painkillers and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, it's so messed up. He seems like a good father to his kids, but it's so sad when I saw him sitting there watching 300, like for the 50th time, saying, man, I love this film.
It was a great film. Historically, probably not accurate, but it was a great film.
Well, really, what is a great film? Like, what does somebody mean when they say a great film?
It entertains me, keeps me.
Okay, now what is entertainment?
For me, MD, I would say something that
but the word entertainment. What is entertain? Remember, we looked at that word. It means to distract, to divert, to hold the attention of.
No disagreement there. But
no. So I'm saying I'm analyzing a great film. It's great entertainment. So basically, what we're saying is, it's a great distraction.
Yeah. To me, I don't think entertainment. To me, is something that I can relate to. You know what I mean? Like,
again, it was created to get people to think war was good. It was virtuous. See, now in the film, this is how
I didn't see it that way. But
think about it. They're telling you don't bend your knee to the king, but you bent your knee to the king anyway.
But here's the thing: if you see it as entertainment, not as fact, then it's okay.
No, it doesn't matter if it's fact or not. It was propaganda. Right? It's a great film. It hyped you up to what? To bend your knee to go overseas and fight somebody that you didn't even know.
But it's propaganda.
That's the problem.
Think about this. The guy.
People portrayed the enemy in that movie as the wrong person. Because I do agree with you, MD. The majority of the population viewed that as like, yeah, let's go to war. To me, I viewed that as, rebel against the crushing authority is what I viewed it.
Crushing authority. All right. And I hear what you're saying. Under doing what? Under obeying authority.
I view it as
Isn't it crazy how they get us?
I just view it as
like so you think you're saying and it's ingenious. It is ingenious.
Yeah. But I gotta say this though, it's like the majority of the population.
Let's look at it for what it is.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you, MD. Is that's the way that the majority of the population interpreted it. But anytime I see like a authority or an enemy or anything like that, the majority of the population is going to think like, yeah, we should go to war because I saw that movie and it inspired me. To me, what I see is I've always seen the enemy as living in Capitol Hill, our own capital.
Well, think about that. So what were you doing really? When we look at it, it's not agreeing with me. We're looking at the evidence. We're agreeing with the evidence. So you thought that, okay, I'm fighting against the bad thing or whatever, but you're bending the knee to Capitol Hill. You don't like Capitol Hill, but you went there, what? Under orders. So you bench your knee. Basically, slave orders.
Yeah,
Ordered you to do that.
One thing I gotta say though is like the whole reason I was with the Marines, like ever since wanted to join since I was a little kid, I had this concept of I'm going to be
join the military out of poverty. That's what
well, first of all, that's part of it. But another thing too is that I knew I would learn a lot of like survival skills, weapons training, things like that in the military. And
the bottom line,
self-discipline, things like that. And I did gain all those things out of the military.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
rich parents. If we had rich parents, we would not have joined the military.
That's true.
Well, we could have learned all of that stuff without having to be in there.
You would have gone to college and partied.
Right, but only a small percentage of the population is going to be rich, and so
it's not about. You're missing the whole point. It's not about small populations. It's showing that we joined because of 1, stupidity, 2, ignorance, and 3, poverty. And we figured, okay, we're poor. You're going to get that training for free. Now, only a poor idiot would look at it that way. I was an idiot too.
Yeah, but see, on that point, I disagree though, because I do believe that within training and self-discipline, things like that you learn from the military, they do help you rise out of poverty. So there is like a reason.
Are you still impoverished or not?
I wouldn't say definitely not impoverished like I was, growing up.
Do you make 300 grand a year?
Definitely not 300 grand.
Well, then you're impoverished. Do you have to go to work every day?
I mean, almost every day. I wouldn't say every day.
So then you're enslaved. You see how they get us to look at they get us to look at our subservience, our servitude, our slavery. They get us to look at it like it's not that. Just the way they get people to look at 300 as, hey, this is a good thing. Look, they're doing, and it's like, wait a minute. First of all, these guys were all closet. Then in the movie, he says, oh, we're not like those boy lovers. It's like, wait a minute. Your whole civilization is based on that. It was normal. Anybody can look it up.
Closets are openly not hetero,
Well, also, the thing is you look at the deceit of it. Like again, that movie had your standard. You got to kill a black guy in the beginning of the movie, and you got to kill an innocent black guy. You're not supposed to kill a messenger. Now, of course, all right, he came there, the king's heads, whatever. But that's like once you see that in the movie, you got to question the movie. Say, okay, so within the first 20 minutes, they got to kill a black guy.
That's true.
Right? You think about that. It's like why?
And he also got another guy got his head cut off in that movie too.
That's I never viewed the movie like that. I was just viewed that they were, they came there to,
come to. We're not going to view it like that, Jake. We have to come to this realization, and I'm not blaming you for anything. I'm saying this is a place where we learn. We start to say, okay, well, we see this is good because you're getting value from it. To say, wow.
Look at fantasy. Is that okay? If you
the what?
Fantasy,
the what?
If you looked at the movie as fantasy, pure fantasy,
it's not fantasy though.
Well, it's still. Well, why is it fantasy? Wait, why isn't it fantasy?
No, I
Did
looked
the Greeks win? No, I'm asking Jake. Did the Greeks win?
No, at the end of the movie, they all died. Like that was true.
Well, no. Well, think about it. Is that the way the battle was fought? Like you had guys
a ton of arrows raining down on them, and they all died. Like that's how the movie ends.
Well, think about it. You had guys. The guy's son dying, and he goes into man. It was like a fantasy that a school kid would have sleeping on his desk. Saying, we stood here.
Because like each Spartan soldier killed way too many guys compared to the average other soldier on the other side.
How do we know that for true? How do we know that?
I mean, we know for sure that the leader of the Ottoman Empire did not look like that at
all. No. That's not. No. Think about this. When we look at it, that's not Muslims. This is the Persian, right? Isn't that the Persian Empire?
Yeah, it's the Persian Empire in that movie.
So this is before Islam, right?
Maybe I'm getting my history mixed up then.
But exactly.
I know the leader didn't look like that. The Persian, the leader.
Well, we don't even know that. So if we,
I mean, it looks so sus too. The leader of the Persian Empire.
Well, again, look at what they did too. They demonized anybody that had earrings, piercings. You see, so again, they're saying brown skin bad. They're saying
oh, I agree.
Yeah. The first guy that gets killed, black dude. The guy who they did what Trump did, making fun of people that are disabled. So the guy that was disabled, oh, look, he betrayed us.
They didn't make fun of him. They tried to delete him.
Well, this is the thing. They told him the guy wanted to be part of it. And they said, well, you can't be a part of us because that would be the weak part of the phalanx. Right. But when we look at
actually, he said, like, are you able to do this? Because it's a requirement. And he couldn't hold up the shield high enough. And so, and
that was the thing. Now, how many soldiers do you see that just aren't great soldiers and they're still in the military? They suck.
Right, they shouldn't be. They definitely should not be.
Well, this is, again, another lie in the movie to hype guys up to go over and jump into the pit of fire under the bravado of you're doing something good for a country. You're doing it to come back and get taxed. You're doing it to come back and go to work every day. The fact that you're a war veteran and you got to work every day, I mean, and you can't see it. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to see. I'm not blaming you for not seeing it, but think about it.
I don't think if you go to a war, you shouldn't have to not work the rest of your life. I think you should still have to, to provide for yourself.
Well, think about this. What happens if you would have died over there then?
You get an insurance policy.
No. Well, who's getting that insurance policy?
Whichever relative you write down on the paper.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Now, you don't think that person's going to mourn for you? You think that person, it was 50 grand when I went in. When I went in, you signed the insurance, whoever you signed it to, they got 50 grand. How much was it when you went in?
Yeah, it was somewhere between 50 and 100 grand. I can't remember exactly.
Okay. Now, we know that that's not a lot of money. Even back then, it wasn't a lot. So when we look at this, we start to say, would you throw your life away right now for 50 grand, bro?
But no, that's like,
okay. Now we gotta think. We had to be stupid to do that. Like I said, it's based on stupid, ignorance.
You got to be poor. Is definitely part of it.
Exactly. So now that you know, because we get a little wiser, hopefully, as we get older. And good to see you.
I would have signed up even if there was no insurance policy. I still would have
came back.
Well, it's hard to admit it to ourselves. I mean, most veterans will die being stupid and ignorant.
Well, here's the thing.
And they'll fight. They'll fight to defend their stupidity, just the way you see these political zombies fighting. Even though they know that's a PDF file and all this stuff is coming out, they're literally still defending this guy.
Well, this is actually what I wanted to bring up when I said, like, the reason, the movies, the rare movies I actually do go watch, just movies that I relate to, because I do believe in, like, genetic passing down of your DNA and everything like that, ancestral wisdom, whatever. I've always known since I was a little kid I wanted to be a warrior. Like the movies Braveheart and Gladiator and 300, I just really related to those movies. I really liked them because it had to do with a warrior culture, and that just, like, spoke to me beyond, like, a conscious level or anything like that. I just knew, like,
I like those movies too, Jake, but they're fantasy. You got to remember, they're fantasy, they're fiction. They're like a superhero movie.
Yeah, they're definitely, of course, like, over dramatized for Hollywood. Of course.
Now, if it's genetic, right? If it's genetic, could it be genetic stupidity that was passed down to us? Now we know what we did. We know what we did. We wouldn't do it now. You wouldn't want to throw your life away for 50 grand, stuff like that, right?
I didn't join for 50 grand. I joined because, like, I wanted to, have that level of training with weapons, survival skills.
You're looking at yourself.
Another big one is brotherhood. That is one thing I miss the most about the military, and, like, just something that, again, was ingrained to me. Like,
basically closethood. So you miss closethood.
No, see, I've always liked women, always, since I was a little kid.
But you like being around a bunch of men and living in the field with a bunch of men, though. You miss the closet.
No, I do enjoy men coming together to accomplish certain tasks, and that's also what I like about construction work too. I mean, those are just, very similar.
Construction work is different. You're not forced to do construction work. You're forced
Well,
to live in garrison. You're forced to live with a bunch of men. So it's the closet hood, basically. You know, there's a lot of closet stuff in the military, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying I wasn't forced to join the military either. I voluntarily did it.
No, but that's not what I was saying. It's basically a closet hood. I mean, you can look at films in black and white in the military.
Of course, there's people in there who are closeted, I'm sure, but I mean,
there's so much stuff in there that you might not have noticed. That when you look at it, you start to say, "Well, man, why?" When the people fought in World War II and they're on, the French and all of that. People they would rather be spending time on the French Riviera with a woman that they love or something, not out there with a bunch of dudes fighting an enemy that they don't even know about. For what purpose? For what purpose?
It does strengthen your character, and that's another thing I wanted from it, which I do think.
This is like talking to Scribe about Tupac. Holy shit!
No, please don't.
These are realistic things that are, pretty much they're scientific.
You're making every excuse to say, you know what? These people didn't have me.
These are real things.
These people didn't have you in a state of mind control.
No, I wouldn't say it because I wouldn't re-enlist.
If they didn't, so in other words, I can't say that because you're still in that state of mind control. I'm just hoping this is good for other people that's listening.
Well, I mean, people who are in a state of mind control would have easily re-enlisted, but there was no way.
You're still in a state of mind control because you haven't broken that fantasy. You're still saying to yourself, you know what? If you could go back again, knowing that you're throwing your life away for 50 grand if you die. For somebody basically now, do you see what's happening now? Do you understand?
I still would have joined the military. I still would have joined. It's because I didn't join for 50 grand and I didn't throw my life away. And I would say throwing your life away. If someone listened for 20 years or more, I would say it's pretty much throwing your life away.
You're not even understanding the question, man. Look, forget it, Jake. Forget it. It already screwed up the beginning of the stream. It's done. You look, love your servitude, bend your knee, enjoy it.
I mean, I'm sorry that you.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I'm hoping one day, maybe in the future, somebody will watch this, or maybe you'll watch it. Really,
18 to 22. I think it's a great time to learn all those things.
Look, you can learn that stuff without going in the military.
Oh, definitely possible. I just think it's military. You get a lot of training.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely you can learn that without going in the military.
I agree with you. It's not the only way, but it is a way.
Let me explain to you. The possible part is you still hanging on to maybe it wasn't a mistake. That's why you say definitely possible. There's no, if it's definitely, it's definitely. It's not. There's no such thing as definitely possible.
Right. Yeah, it is definitely possible though. Definitely
when you say possible, when you're saying it's definite, right? There's no possibility. It's definite. Do you understand the difference in words?
Yeah, definitely and absolutely are synonyms.
All right. Is possible a synonym with those two words?
Yes, in the way I used it, yes.
No, it's not. Look it up.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can,
I'm giving you the definition. When you have something, if I tell you, right?
Yeah, I mean, U.S.
No. If I tell you this, listen to me.
I agree with you. Don't mad at me for agreeing.
Don't agree with me. This is evidence. If I tell you that I'm going to pay you,
I need to. I'm agreeing with you.
Can you be quiet and listen to what I'm saying to you? What you're doing right now is a defense mechanism, man. And you think what do you think? No, stay quiet and listen to what I'm trying to tell you, man. If I tell you I will definitely pay you $100 to bring some wood over and stack it over there, that's a definite thing. If I say absolutely, right? But if I say, you know what, I can possibly pay you 100. What is the difference between those three ways I say it? Definitely pay you, absolutely pay you, or possibly pay you. Are they all the same?
Yeah, and the way you asked it originally, you changed the question though.
Shit, you know what? Look. All right, hold on a second. All right,
just impossible.
Just forget it, man. Just ragamuffin. What's up, man? Do you have anything to say?
Blessings. Well, first of all, mic check. Am I sounding better?
It's a little low.
It's still a little low?
A little bit.
Yeah, you're the only stream so far that's not hearing me right. I don't understand.
It's
your panel, I mean.
Well, it's okay. It's not as loud as our mics, but yeah, go ahead.
Hold on, let me see. Let me see. Better. Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay, this might be the input. I might need to get a can of air and spray the input out. That's probably what it is.
Possibly.
It's
Yeah,
definitely possible.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
interesting. Can I bring up another? I don't want to change the subject. Could I bring something
wait, I
up?
want Ragamuffin just to,
Okay.
yeah. You got anything, or what were you?
Yeah, I do actually. I was curious if any of you guys have been doing research on something specific, because I haven't heard anybody in the truth community talking about it in a while. But the Geordie Rose, like D-Wave computing, has anybody been talking about that? What happened to all of that? Because they
Geordie
like,
Rose?
yeah, Geordie Rose was this dude that did a TED talk and on D-Wave computing, and he gave this presentation to the public about summoning beings that were way taller than us, that would view us like grasshoppers, and we don't need to pay them too much mind because they won't pay us too much mind. And
Wait, isn't
basically, just
that something that was biblical? Like we looked like grasshoppers to them or something
yeah,
like that?
that is biblical. And basically, he's describing these Lovecraftian beings, and it's real wild and out there. And I haven't heard about it in a while, and that kind of was coming out just right around 2020, just a little before, and then all of a sudden now we're in the AI world, right? And there's all that stuff going on. So I haven't heard, and then I haven't heard really much about CERN lately or that, and I think that all ties together.
I was going to say
So
that they're referred to in like the UFO community as the mantis. You know, you got the grays. There's also the mantis
Wait,
alien. What they're
Jake,
referred to
hang
as.
out a second. So where were you saying this comes from? The thing you were saying before when you first started?
well, his name is Geordie Rose. I think it's Geordie, Geordie Rose, and he did something. It's called D-Wave computing, and he did like a TED talk on it and stuff. And this was like a big hot topic a while back. I'm kind of surprised you didn't didn't cross your radar, but I hadn't heard about it in a while. So I was like, man, what's been going on with that?
Yeah,
And I'm
no, I've heard. I guess it was the biblical thing about somebody going to another land, and they looked like, they looked like giants, and they viewed them as grasshoppers. I don't know if it was
yeah,
Moses.
right. There's biblical scripture about
Yeah.
past.
So you're saying this just popped up in something else, Geordie
Yeah,
something?
this Geordie Rose is like a dude in our generation right now who right before 2020 hit, he was given like a TED talk about this very thing, and it's real creepy because he's not joking around. They're literally opening some type of a portal, and they're witnessing and observing things coming through it, and he's trying to explain it in a scientific way to the general public, like, oh
Okay.
well, we might see these beings, but don't be concerned. It's like real weird.
Yeah, but now remember, I don't know if you were listening to where Jake and I were talking earlier, and he was mentioning the World War II time machine stuff, and I said it goes back to the premise that we're in charge. It
Yeah,
feeds into the fantasy. So this guy is still feeding into that fantasy. Hey guys, don't worry about it. We're in charge. Guess what? It's not something else. We're
yeah,
not
exactly,
cattle.
exactly.
It keeps us in this fantasy. I guess that's why I really don't look into, like, I've gotten to a level to where my bullshit detector is like always on. And I'm not saying that, what you're saying is bullshit. I'm just saying, hopefully we can come to an awareness to say, whenever somebody says something, UFO, werewolf, all this stuff, that we're in charge, it falls right back into idiocy. It's like, wait a minute, we're trying to figure out, we don't even know what we are. We don't know where we are. When my friend, I go, hey, we don't know where we're going. What would you think? He's like, we don't even know where this is. He kept me grounded in reality. Now, I like to hang around with people like that so I don't get any dumber than I already am.
Oh yeah, for sure. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is
No,
this
and I'm
dude.
not saying you're dumb. I'm saying, I'm glad you brought this up.
Well, I
Because
brought it up because I've literally he's been shown when they did that stuff and they were talking about all that. They showed some of the equipment and some of their experiments, and it did look like something to be, I don't want to say concerned about, but like to be on our radar because they're messing around with stuff just like what CERN's doing. So this isn't just like I'm not referring to people that are like
so
going out
people, are
hunting
you saying
cryptids.
you're saying people are messing around with this?
Yeah, this gentleman is affiliated with this organization that's doing this.
Okay, so basically it's again saying that the people are in charge.
Well, it's just another thing like Boston Dynamics and any of these other entities that are doing what they're doing. It's just another thing, you know what I mean?
Well,
That's
when you
like
look
added
at
to the
Boston
mix.
Dynamics, right?
Yeah.
if you go even before Boston Dynamite, just look at the regular engine, look at a train or something like that, or a plane. When people think that these things came from us, like they'll always put an inventor up and say, well, this guy created this. And then you look back into history, like the Dendera light bulb and stuff like that. And you say, wait a second, there's traces of this technology back in civilizations. But you're telling me that these people were like, you know, came from apes and stuff like that. So they couldn't have did that, right? The only people that have ever did anything advanced had to come out of Western Asia. So this is the illusion that hopefully people will break, because we've been taught it in school. It's the manifest destiny BS. And it's to say that, no, the guy that came from an Aboriginal tribe that was subjugated and killed off 99% in Australia, he made a schematic of what would be used by that Igor guy to make the helicopter. Why wouldn't all of those invading so-called Europeans there, why didn't one of them come up with that? When they were trying to put these people's tribes as basically the missing link, they weren't even looking at them as human. People in Australia, the Aborigines, weren't considered human. They were classified under the Flora and Fauna Act until 1968. But magically, one of these guys had an IQ that basically had him making the schematic from observing the boomerang, which they said the boomerang was introduced to them by the so-called gods. Now, you have a lot of racist anthropologists like Robert Seffer and these guys with Atlantean Gardens. I mean, just very insecure people saying that, well, these people are not really human, you know, they're closer to apes. And it's like, well, why didn't any of these other white guys create this? Obviously, it showed you that they're not as smart as this guy, this one guy, not the whole tribe. You got people in this tribe that are definitely not going to be smart, but it shows you where the genius came from. And it didn't come from the European. Now, I'm not saying there aren't any genius Europeans. I'm just saying the people that they try to hold down, to let that genius up after people has been genocided, the Tasmanians don't exist, that's beyond something, because he didn't have a privileged life. We take it to America, the light bulb, right? Lewis Latimer, he had the patent. Thomas Jefferson didn't care. You know, he had money, he had lawyers. When you look at Marconi, credited with the radio, but then they find out that, wait, Tesla was working on that. So we're dealing with liars and thieves, basically.
100%.
Right? So now, when we look at the modern day stuff, we have to question everything. Like this guy saying, okay, the technology, even if it's time machine stuff. So it's saying, okay, the question that I don't see people asking is, where'd you get that technology?
For sure. Well, I dropped a little thing about his website. Here's a little excerpt that it says.
Yes.
Quick. It says Geordie Rose, born January 6, 1972, is a Canadian theoretical physicist and entrepreneur. Until November of 2024, he was the CEO of Sanctuary in Vancouver, Canada. Geordie founded D-Wave, the first quantum computing company, and was the CEO of Kindred, the world's first robotics company to use reinforcement learning in a production environment. So it's got some stuff about that, but I figured you would definitely have interest in that if you hadn't looked into that. I mean, because this isn't one of them dudes out there chasing cryptids. You know what I'm saying? Like this was a whole, this to me is forefront, or at least it was at the time, like CERN and the Boston Robotics stuff, like stuff that they're doing. We can literally see them wanting to roll out onto the masses, and it's wild. So I was just kind of wondering if anybody had looked into it in a while. I haven't. And it kind of came back into my mind.
I'm looking at his lecture, but I'm saying to myself again, it's like super intelligent aliens are coming to Earth, and they chose Geordie Rose.
Right. Yeah.
You see how crazy it is, right?
It's one of the two things. He's either got a severe case of naivety, or he's part of just nefarious bullshit, and he doesn't want to let the cat out of the bag right now. You know
Could it be both?
Could be both.
Yeah. So and that's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up, because it gives us an example again of how easily we fall into this. Like, look at the the 300 movie, right? I'm pretty sure Jake, Mr. X said, they thought it was Ottoman. So they thought it was Muslims. This is a Persian empire that predates Islam itself. Now, it's a fictional movie. Anybody can look this up, based on a graphic novel. What they do is they'll put one real character and they'll build a story of bullshit around it. The same way they did with Roots, right? One guy found out one of his ancestors from Africa was called Kunta Kinte and built an entire story of lies around it to create the Roots thing to divide people, basically. Anybody that was forced to see that in school, it just made people not really like each other. And it wasn't factual when you look at it. So with 300, this is what I'm surprised with. It's like, first of all, the Persians were highly advanced, way more advanced than the Greeks. This is why the Greeks got their ass kicked. But remember, people that enter the military are losers that don't realize they're losers because we entered and we're idiots. Now, if we can admit that, now we can grow away from that. It's like, hey, I tell people, am I the only one that can be a stupid idiot? It's like nobody else can be a dumb idiot, right? Just me. I'm the only one that can admit that. When people say, oh, you're smart. No, I'm well researched. I'm smart enough to know I'm stupid. And most of the time I forget that. And I think I'm not stupid. If I was smart financially, I'd be rich. I wouldn't even probably be doing these live streams. I'd probably make videos and put them out and wouldn't even answer comments. That's how.
Brother, I love your authenticity. I absolutely love it.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate you coming on and being here with us, man. It gets to a point to where I understand a lot of things people told me when I was younger that I never understood. When they say, sometimes a guy will be married with kids and he'll say he's going out for bread and never come home. And I'm like, well, why would somebody do that? When you experience the nagging of some bitches, you totally understand it. I mean, when there were some girlfriends I look back and I say, wow, that girl never complained. And then other girls, Puerto Rican chicks, all of that, it's like, oh my goodness, horrible, just can't shut up. Just constantly bada, 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 bada. It's like, God damn. And I learned that my peace of mind is what really matters. They say, how do you know when something costs too much? When it costs your peace of mind. That's the price. A lot of people don't know the price. If you have to pay the price with your peace, it costs too much.
Yep, 100%.
And when I look back at like 300. I remember a guy, his father is his mother's Native American, but he's white passing. And he used to tell me stuff. He used to be like, man, it's horrible, bro. He goes, I'll talk to people and the stuff they say. And he had seen 300 because just like you said, okay, I never heard of Geordie and all of this. He was like, man, you didn't hear 300? I'm like, no. I'm like, why would I want to watch a closet movie like that? And he's like, man, that movie is so propaganda. And I remember being in a bookstore playing chess with him over 20 years ago. And he was like, man, he was ragging on the movie. And then finally, I forgot who was playing it. And I just sat there and I watched and I said, you gotta be kidding me. I said, this is crazy. And they, of course, depict the Greeks as being civilized and the other people as being savages, when the Persians actually had way more technology, way more advancements. This allowed them to spread what they did, which, of course, they weren't angels either. But the twisting of the story, it's sort of like they came out in 2000, like when Bush was in 2001, after the thing, you had Pearl Harbor, you had 300, you had all these other war movies. And I remember we were saying, man, this is like a kind of psychological warfare that they're playing on people. And people were going, joining up to go to war. And I would always say, like, you got to be nuts to join the military in wartime. You have that's a special type of stupid. I joined because I wanted to get out of New York. It was horrible. Basically, I didn't want to graduate high school. I was like, anything is better than this. And when the recruiter said, look, if I get you in, you're going to go. I said, yeah, he got me in. And other people that graduated, they would wait till the last minute and chicken out. I was basically like, look, man, anything's better than this. And when I look at other people that make excuses for it, it's okay. It comes to a point where I got to realize that this person just doesn't get it, and they probably never will.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, it'll be too late, because I ain't got much time left. Nobody got much time. Like I said, I go to sleep tonight, might not wake up. So I just live every day. I value every day more, because I feel that way. But then you get tired of this. You say, okay, I know I'm going somewhere. I don't know where I'm going. I think I've had enough of this crap.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I almost went in the Navy, but I didn't have the eyesight for it.
But thank goodness that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it is. I long to be out on the water. I always thought that would be really cool to go out on a boat.
Well, imagine doing it in a way where you think of an idea, you make enough money, and you buy your own ship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a friend, he had a like 150-foot sailboat, and it had mechanized stuff in it too, so it didn't have to use the sails. And they sailed across the Atlantic. And I remember him telling me, he goes, yeah, they sail from Florida, and he always wanted to do that. And he goes, man, they got like a little lost when they went through the Straits of Gibraltar and got into the Mediterranean. And he goes, when you buy like Croatia and stuff, he goes, they got these gigantic crosses on the shores. He goes, and that's what we were able to see and veer more toward the cross. He goes, because you can easily get lost in the Mediterranean. And I was just like, wow. So you sailed across. He had his sailboat, because I had a star chart book that I gave to him. And I used to really like that book, because it taught me a lot about the skies, on how to look at certain, I can look up at the sky and I'll know certain positions. I'll know when certain constellations come out. So you can kind of orientate yourself. Not to say that anything astronomy is telling me is true, but definitely you can use the skies to keep your bearing if you're on the sea, especially, and on the land as well. So, you look at it and you say, how about just doing it of my own volition, of my own skill, of not having to join a group of killers under orders, and this is the thing. It's hard to come with that, because you're so brainwashed when you go in there. The first thing they tell you in basic training is don't think. And that's why some of these guys drop grenades. Some of them do stupid stuff. I still must have trauma from that. I must have trauma.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, bro, and then they send people back. They put them into the police force, right? And I don't know if you ever saw the video where the two cops show up. They got the guy in the back of the handcuffs, and a squirrel drops a nut onto the top of the car, hits the hood, and he starts popping shots off, because he just goes into that world. Yep.
There was a cop, I remember, he was a Vietnam veteran, and his partner was telling me, he was making excuses like, hey, he came back from Nam. And I'm like, this guy shouldn't have a weapon. I was like, this is crazy. And all they do is terrorize neighborhoods, basically. I mean, now, what was it? A sheriff's department in Colorado. I think it's a department of 8 sheriffs or something, or sheriffs and deputies. Half of the department got fired for having sex with a corpse.
Oh my gosh.
The sheriff, you see, these are the people that I'm saying. And then one woman that knows them made a sarcastic remark saying, yeah, I had to speak to them in a certain way, because I know that she said they would kill her and have sex with her body, with a dead corpse. And this is just the incidents that we know about.
And then, and I'm over here trying to shake the dickens out of my mom, who sits around on Friday and Saturday nights and watches live PD. She's like glued to it. Like, she loves it. And she wears the t-shirt and everything. And like, she doesn't see what we see. And I've tried, and I've told her personal testimonies. I'm like, Mom, I went out to get the mail one time, and the damn cruiser almost ran me over, going 60, almost 80 down our street, not maintaining his lane, and almost ran over my fucking foot. And I had a mind to go down to the bottom of the street where he parked his cruiser and film him. And I thought something said, nah, let it go.
Nah, they might have got out and beat the hell out of you. You never know.
They could have, but I guess I was thinking, I'm a skateboarder, and I figured, well, if I can get it on camera real quick and bounce,
Now
He's
you
gonna
don't.
he's gonna be hard pressed to catch me on
Yeah,
foot.
the only way you can film them is in secret. That's
Yeah.
the safest way. You don't want to. You
Draw
don't
attention.
even
Yeah.
like one lady, and a lot of people, a lot of black people that experience problems with the cops will give you the biggest truth and how to act. She said, "Don't ever argue your case there. You argue your case in court." She goes, if you argue your case there, you're either going to end up dead, assaulted, hurt. You never argue, no matter what, they're wrong, whatever. You do not argue your case at that spot. Too many people have been shot dead. And it's not just black men. We see black women. We see white men. We see white women. Who was that lady that got shot in the house and the guy lied? If it wasn't on camera, who knows? I mean, she had a pot of boiling water and she says she rebukes him in the name of Jesus, and he killed her and then lied about it. I think he got 20 years, if that. He might not even got 20 years.
Well, their little clause and their what do they call it? That where they anything you say can't, the Miranda rights. Yeah, it's so twisted, and the average person looks at it like, oh no, that makes sense. It's like, no, it says anything you say can and will be used against you, not
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah. Well, not only that, they let us live under the illusion of you're innocent until proven guilty, but it's the reverse.
Right.
You're guilty until proven innocent. So we see that. So they're telling us one thing, but what are we seeing? So just like with the military, they're telling us one thing, but what did we experience? The movie 300 telling us one thing, but what's the truth on it? You see, so when we look at that, it's supposed to be from the 5th century BC. Now, Islam was formed 1,000 years after that, the 6th century AD. So like 1,100 years. And people still think that those people were Muslims. And I look at that, and it's nothing against the person for thinking that. It's just like, Jake, something's wrong with your mic, man. It gets me to where I got to realize that it's better I don't say anything. Like my friend told me today, he goes, look, man, and I should take it. I'm probably going to take his advice. He goes, you need to just make videos. He goes, when I listen to your show, he goes, 90% of the time I listen to hear you. And I used to think, he goes, Mr. X is really deep too. He goes, but honestly, he goes, I listen to hear. I said, well, when Jake and Scribe and other people are on, more people are listening. He said, look, man, he goes, I'm just going to tell you the truth. He goes, if you just narrate your videos and you make them, and, I used to get a lot more views before. I have my old videos on private. We used to get about 1,000 views a stream. Some streams got 2,000, 1,500, which is still not a lot of views. On my old channel, we would blow that out of the water. We'd get, 150 people watching live, 250 if I had a certain guest. But I had to let that go because the audience was toxic. The audience was so toxic that some of them followed me over to here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Apparently, you're acquainted with 3 of the homies that I know, like Shift, NPC. I know you know TML, the Machine Lies, but
Yeah.
I heard you know NPC too. Did you still like?
I don't know. I don't remember NPC. Shift is. I don't know. He's kind of a nutcase. I don't know how close you are with him.
I'm not super close with him. He's a friend of my friend.
He's like he's made stuff like was borderline like. Law enforcement needed to know. I mean, he was
I didn't know that.
I mean, he was like putting out, I don't know what kind of hatred he had garnered that he was just like really hateful. And I accepted him on the stream. I accepted him like how I got people on the stream now. And he ended up stabbing a lot of people in the back. And
oh, wow.
I mean, really bad too. Brother Ali, Arabianography. He comes.
Huh? You know Brother Ali?
Yeah, he's a mod here.
Are you serious, Brother Ali?
Yeah, he's a mod.
Oh, bro, I just got tingles. You're blowing my freaking mind. Do you understand how much of a fan I am of Uncle Sam Goddamn and Brother Ali? Brother Ali has done shit in my city, bro. And
I didn't even know that. Yeah,
he's homies with my homies, and I've been wanting to get an introduction with him for the longest time, bro.
Wait, is that Arabianography?
No, he did stuff with Mr. Dibbs, and he did stuff with DJ High Tech. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure if it's the same guy then. Like he's come on the stream a few times.
Brother Ali, yeah, he's the albino white dude, right?
No, I don't think he is. He's Filipino.
Oh, we're talking about a different guy. Okay, there's a rapper. Yeah. There's a rapper named Brother Ali who's a Muslim albino dude.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It could be.
And he calls himself Brother, and he goes by Brother Ali. So
Yeah,
that's what I figured you were talking about. And I'm like,
every time I he knows Schiff too. That's the thing.
Okay.
That's kind of odd. Like, I don't know if it's the same guy, but he's real cool. And well, from what he says, he's Filipino and mixed with German and some other things. But I mean,
well, I'm just like acquainted with Shift. I've seen him on a few different people's panels, but my other homie the other day was telling me that you knew, or the NPC dude's name's Gabriel. He changed his name to Gabriel something or other now, but he's a school teacher in like in Taiwan or whatever, but he runs a stream, like a truth stream type thing. He hangs out with TML a lot. He hangs out with the Machine Lies, like they're homies.
The Machine Lies sounds very familiar. I think people that know him have been on the stream.
Yeah, and I know you know my real good buddy, Mr. Super Sidewinder. He and I are real tight.
Yes, he's came on the stream before. He was on the other day.
We're fam, bro. Me and him are fam.
Yeah, he's definitely cool.
And I want to bring up something since it was on the topic. Like, I've been waiting to, there's this fact that has to do with the technology and how, aliens and humans are trading the information for technology or whatever, I've been waiting to say this fact for a while. But I'm like, okay, I'm kind of waiting for the right point. But it seems like, man, now that you brought the views, man, because I wanted to talk.
Are you there?
Remember the old streams on the original?
Yeah, no, I don't even like to mention those. I don't even like to mention. I'm at the.
I'm not talking about the data stream. I'm talking about the information streams that we used to go into, like the alternative knowledge streams. Like, dude, you used to have all these slides lined up for the shows, and then you would have like arrows pointing to certain things, like pictures you took at the museums. Like, dude, you have like a ton of like awesome knowledge stored like in the files in your computer or wherever they're at or whatever, and you used to have like slideshows about something, and then like basically the beginning of the video would be you kind of like showing these slideshows, like coins, like all these things that were awesome, and then like you would open up the panel, then we'd come on and like give our input, or like we'd be on the panel and say, oh, I got something to add into that topic. But it seems like lately, I don't know why, but it's like the stream like devolves into like there's a little bit of stuff that goes back into like the dating part of it, or like it devolves into like racism, but it devolves into like racism, or, like current political issues. It's like, man, if you stick to like the ancient knowledge stuff, I really think your views are going to explode. It's like, man, I got this thing to say, but it's like, well, I don't understand why the streams keep devolving into other topics.
Well, that's from letting people on. If I were to do the stream like my friend Ed told me today, he goes, look, man, and he goes, nothing against other people. He really likes Mr. X. He goes, Jake is cool, Scribe's cool. He said, but he goes, 90% of the time, he goes, I'm listening to you. He goes, that's what it is. He goes, you need to just do videos.
Like when I came on here, like last couple of streams, you say, hey, you don't want to do like the dating thing. You like ended the stream, didn't post. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's stick to like the ancient knowledge.
Well, think about that. Okay. Now look at it. We were doing, Mr. X and I was doing a great stream on the mushrooms.
Right.
Who messed that stream up? You, Scribe, and Lasagna.
Well, right. And I said, look at that.
No. So in other words, you're answering your own question. You're answering your own question. But
this one seems like you're trying to cut me off before I even say what I'm saying. I said, I understand you got mad about that stream and you didn't post it. You said you want to stick to the, you don't want to kick the dating stuff out. I'm like, cool. So the last couple of streams, if you look at it, I came on here talking about like things related to the topic. I was talking about the Enlil and Enki thing, relating to the Garden of Eden on the last one. This stream, I was talking about like, oh, hey, there's a lot of scientific and UFO researchers and people doing the space-time travel stuff. Like, I start out with that stuff, and I want.
What does that have to do with the topic? So you came on and you didn't talk about the topic. The topic is how to control the past.
Right, and that has to do with space-time travel. That's
what it doesn't. That has to do just like what I put on the thumbnail: military soldiers in front of the Giza pyramids. So, in other words, the militarization of archaeological sites. And if you listen to when I first started the stream, that's what I was talking about.
Right, and I was bringing up stuff related to it, like space.
No. What you brought up was not related to it, and then you brought up the movie. What does the movie 300 have to do with the topic?
If we went back and watched it, you start diverting down this thing. You keep going down it. All I'm saying is, I think we should stick to the topics, because the reason why I brought it up,
the only person who has ever stuck to a topic that I've had on is Mr. X.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else.
Wants to stream, and I'll timestamp it for you.
No. When you started bringing up 300, the first thing, the time control thing has nothing to do with the stream. 300 has nothing to do with the stream.
You got a picture of military guys in front of a pyramid, and I'm saying they're using space-time travel to alter the past.
You don't know if they're using space-time travel. What we do know is that they're using military guys to keep these sites under lock and key. So that's what we do know. And that's what I was trying to stay grounded in reality, to say, okay, all this speculative stuff is great, but this is not a speculative stream. And then you're going to tell me why it gets off topic. Because
the things I brought up were not speculative, though. The things I brought up were not speculative. I'm saying that
you're telling me for sure they got time travel machines.
No, that's what I'm talking about. There was just documentaries released recently. But these
I did want to comment on the pyramids, though.
And it's because that they, that they got the photos out to, basically prove space, and it went back to the plus sign people in Germany. They basically proved it was possible.
And you were there, right?
No, it's not was there. I'm saying it's been.
How do you know for sure that this is real, man?
What I'm saying is these documents been unclassified recently. And
so they're telling you the truth in the documents?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that based on things that have come to light recently.
Can I say something, MD, about technology?
Please.
Okay. I was just reading this because I was curious about Coral Castle, and I read this one page about it, and it kind of makes sense because it's, they're obviously trying to hide the past, but what he says in Coral Castle, what he did to lift those stones was, the Earth is basically the North Pole. It's a magnet of the North Pole. It's just magnetism. There's no gravity, but it's more magnetism.
Like he had ley lines, right?
Yeah. Well, he said the Earth's North Pole is the Earth is a giant magnet. And what he did was in Coral to lift the stones, basically in a nutshell, because I'm not going to go into deep detail of this. He basically induced a North Pole into the stones in order for those stones, by inducing a North Pole, a magnetic North Pole into the stones, the Earth would repel the stones, and the stones would basically be very lightweight. He was using magnetism, basically, manipulation of magnetism. Now that seems to be that would make a lot of sense in terms of how the pyramids were built, is magnetism and free energy. So
okay, well, all right. When we look at one thing is, there was a researcher, Davidovich, and he showed how a geopolymer could be used to make the casing stones, which are like right next to each other. You can't fit a sheet of paper in between them. That's how interlocked they are without mortar. So he repeated this. He said, look, it's a geopolymer of limestone mixed with certain things, and then when it hardens, it actually forms in this way. And of course, people didn't take it seriously. He did demonstrate it, and you can probably find the videos on YouTube. Now, that doesn't explain the granite stones. It definitely doesn't explain those. When we look at different parts, different things built in different parts of the world, like, okay, and I hear what you're saying about Coral Castle. It cannot explain the Kailasa temple in India, which is carved out of the mountain. So there's no moving stones and stuff. You got a mountain that this temple is carved from the rock, one piece. I mean, it's, if you ever look up the Kailasa temple, I think Praveen Mohan does some stuff on it, but you'll find better pictures if you just look at it. And you look at this thing and you will say to yourself, like, there's no way this is one thing carved out of the rock. There's just no freaking way, but it's true. When you look at, I forgot the name of the other caves, they take laser scans of the inside of the caves, the smooth walls, and they're like, how the heck is this even possible? It's to a degree that's like millimeter fractions. When you look at, there's other temples in India with the spinning pillars. So not only does it look like pillars that were made on a lathe that are made out of rock, and these are thick pillars, 1.5 feet, 2 feet thick. They also spin. And also when you look at them, they look like what a radio wave might look like, with the divots and stuff, if you look at them in a horizontal fashion instead of vertical. So there's so much stuff hidden to where you say, well, wait a second, this goes beyond the Coral Castle thing. And I hear what you're saying about the Coral Castle thing. It's amazing.
Well, I'm just saying a piece of the puzzle. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it's
Not
just
the
the
whole
piece.
puzzle.
Yeah. Azarun, thank you for the support, brother, man. I appreciate it, man. If you want to hop on, it's always a pleasure having you on, bro. This, you know, and I hear what you're saying. Like, yeah. So the Ajanta caves and Ellora cave. So you're looking at stuff that's carved out of a solid mountain.
Yeah, I
And
just looked up a documentary on the Ajanta Caves, and that brought me like down a deeper rabbit hole. There's actually these cities built like below the surface, like they're all open, and basically like they dug out a huge crater, like in these deserts that are super hot all the time because it stays cooler down there and things. And so like, but same thing, it's like like these things are built perfectly symmetrical and all. Like, there's no way this thing was built with like some type of laser or like some type of like technology. You know, there's no way that this was like carved or they excavated like football fields worth of dirt out, you know, like just tons of cubic meters of dirt and clay and things like that. Like, they definitely had some type of technology.
yeah, yeah. I mean it, but the thing is too, when they invaded Iraq, the ziggurat, which is an archaeological site, I think from this ancient city of Ur, they used it as a military stronghold. So it's like they went there, they extracted the stuff that they wanted to extract, and then they let some of the locals loot some of the artifacts that they don't want, and they film that. And they say, oh, look, people are stealing stuff from here. So anything that's chipped up or broken, it was them. It wasn't the US soldiers that stole the technology that was there or sealed up the caverns to where nobody can go there and look at the stuff that's there because of what happened. So that war seemed to be more to cover up something that was there, something from the past. They're controlling the past, just like the stream's title is. You look at the same thing in Afghanistan with the Buddha carved into the mountain. I don't know if you saw those when you were in Afghanistan. Gigantic Buddha statues, maybe 70, 80 feet tall, carved into the mountain, but behind them were caverns. Now, nobody can go there. You had a lot of the nutcase religious zealots that lived there carving out the face of these idols in the name of their religion. And now the Americans were there and they said, oh, all right, everything's off limits. So nobody can research the stuff from behind that. So this is the way they control the past, which allows them to control the future. Timbo says, J. Allen Hynek missing, Nick Pope dead, David Wilcox shot himself. What? Just recently? David Wilcox from Ancient Aliens? Allegedly, something weird in the UFO time travel anti-gravity researcher community. Holy smokes, Timbo, and good to see you, Timbo.
This is what I was talking about, man. This is like just very recently all this is happening.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, Azarun, yeah, Dvarka. Dvarka is the underwater city, right? Found off the southern, off the western coast of Mohenjo-daro. I think it's borderline India, Pakistan, which is all India because Pakistan is rape city. It's an invasion from Muslims. So it's really India. So Dvarka is the ancient city, the legend of Krishna, I think. His city, which is twice the size of Manhattan, right? No more underwater exploration there. Matter of fact, an Indian guy who had a channel called Ancient Explorers went there. He made a video, I think it's still on YouTube, where he said the people that were supposedly in charge of the Dvarka excavation, they started disappearing. So now this is them controlling the past, because remember, he who controls the past controls the future, and whoever controls the present controls the past. George Orwell, 1984. These people were giving us hints to say, look, I can't come out and just say it, but I can write a fictional novel about it. But you know this isn't fictional. Just like Rod Serling would say, I can't talk about it openly, but I can say Buck Rogers is getting censored, but I can't say you're getting censored. He was going to write about Emmett Till, the black kid that got beaten to death by the white mob, And then the lady comes out when she's 70, 80 years old saying she lied, right? Recently. He goes, he was going to do that. He goes, by the time he got done and the censors looked at the script, Emmett Till was a Mexican boy and it was in a town in Mexico. I was like, holy smokes. They are so worried about people finding out the truth. That should raise a red flag and tell us why. Why is that? So David did that yesterday, plus a lot of scientists. I've heard about a lot of scientists coming up missing. I definitely heard about that. Wow. David Wilcox is gone.
Yeah, around 2015, it was around that time, within a couple year span, there was some like 50 like natural health, like homeopathic scientists and researchers and things like that all went missing. And now it's all like the UFO, anti-gravity type of communities all going missing. Like they are limiting
space people too, right? Like Space Academy and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Air Force general in charge of like the NASA UFO type of like research, facility, almost like 51 planet. He's an Air Force general, just gone, just missing.
Well, look at what Trump just did, right? 4 colonels, full bird, was supposed to be promoted to 1-star general. 2 men, 2 women. They were all black. And he told the 4-star general to take them off the list. The 4-star general refused. He removed him from his post. Then I think, like, if I remember correctly, 30 other generals did not want boots on the ground in Iran. All of those guys are removed. So when you look at what's going on, the criminality in the so-called White House, it's insane. I mean, the Epstein thing.
I view it as crimes against humanity because they are like, destroying the earth, deleting innocent people, and it's all for something, and it has to do with this knowledge.
What's that Second Amendment? What's that Second Amendment again? You see these cowards, these racist cowards marching around with their rifles trying to threaten black people, talk about the Second Amendment gives us the right. But meanwhile, when it's time to do what the Second Amendment says to do, they all turn pussy. All they can do is beat up white women and black people. That's all these so-called tough white males can do. White men are different. They're far and few.
I was going to bring up with the generals, like that piece of information I was going to, when I was, going down these rabbit holes of like, these guys coming missing and all this stuff from the UFO, anti-gravity, and space-time travel community. And it also has to do with like electromagnetism, like Mr. X was touching on with the rocks and stuff, because they also, that they all kind of relate to each other. But basically, in 1954, President Eisenhower signed this treaty. It was called the Greada Treaty. Basically, like Eisenhower signed a treaty in 1954 with the Greys, the Gray aliens, that they would allow the Greys to abduct humans in order to trade for technology from the alien. So,
Jake, do you really think that aliens would sign a treaty? Why would they need? So you're looking at them on an equal level.
No, I don't think that. But what I'm saying is that I don't think any humans are geniuses. I think that obviously there's some humans who are more intelligent than others. But as far as like these leaps in technology that we get, it is definitely like Tesla said he was communicating with aliens. Is how he got a lot of his inventions. I definitely think we receive like these leaps in technology, not minor improvements on things.
Aliens are demons. Aliens are demons.
I definitely think that we get these leaps in technology from other, extraterrestrial beings, or from other dimensions, whatever you want to call them. We're definitely getting these things, not from our own minds. They're definitely being, delivered to us.
Yeah, from spirits. They're not real aliens from other galaxies. They're spirits.
They could be interdimensional beings, you know what I mean? Like from another, dimension, 4D, 5D, whatever you want to call it. Like you can just use a placeholder, aliens or spirits or whatever you want to call them. But the fact is, like, there are way more intelligent species in this, solar system or galaxy than we are. And we're definitely getting, technology from them. Like we are definitely not the most advanced civilization. And I think, there are secrets hidden in the past that, were written on these scrolls and tablets and in the pyramid hieroglyphics and things like that. And that's why they're trying to cover up the past and not let anyone, discover it and things like that, is because like there are tons of secrets that are in there.
Well, they say the angels or this demons gave knowledge to mankind. It is said.
Timbo is saying that David Wilcox, I'm looking it up, but I'm seeing a different David Wilcox, not the guy with the big forehead.
Folk singer.
The folk singer.
Yeah, that's what I looked up. It's like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know, because there's another David Wilcox that's in the UFO community. And it's saying that the folk musician singer died by suicide. Memorial.
Maybe they're getting everything mixed up.
Yeah, I think that got mixed up because I saw a chart with like all the guys in like the Space Force, NASA, the Air Force general in charge of that base that had to do with UFOs. Like there's a whole like list of people, and there's also has to do with like the mathematicians and researchers on like anti-gravity and things like that. Like a whole like bunch of people are on this roster that all went missing like very recently.
Yeah, and this guy is paranormal. I think this is a different guy. This is kind of odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta figure. Yeah, that's yeah, it can get a little distracting when I think, but I have heard a lot about this stuff. Yeah.
Hey Max, are you on Discord, bud?
No, I'm not, man.
You're
I
not?
never had a Discord. So many people's on it. I mean, like even with my cell phone, I use it for calling and text for work. That's it.
Okay.
And like when I go to the store and I forget my phone, when I know that I don't have to expect a call, I feel so free, man.
Oh yeah, I feel you.
I feel so free. But as far as Discord, everybody used to be on that. This was like about in 2020. And the channel was so like good that they asked me if they could start a Discord, and it had like, I think 200 or 300 followers like right away, or people in the Discord. But I told the one guy, I said, well, you run it. I said, I don't go on Discord. And yeah, it takes up a lot of time. Like he used to be one of the mods, and eventually it got to where he wasn't coming on the live streams. And I was like, bro, I need you to mod, because the chat we would do a live stream and we'd have like 3,000 messages in the chat. It would be like ridiculous. And I didn't have it monetized. So I wasn't getting any donations for about 2 years. And, the Discord, there was a time I was talking with him and I go, look, man, you're not doing your responsibilities. I said, are you, is the Discord taking up a lot of your time? And he was telling me like he had an addiction. He couldn't stay off it. He just kept, it's like constantly checking it, talking with people. But yeah, I don't have it. I don't really know. Like, I guess I'm not sure exactly what Discord totally is.
It was started for gamers as a privatized platform without a lot of ads, where you basically have the free reign to make your own personal private server for free.
Like it's like Reddit or something?
No, it's set up more like you have your own server. So when you set it up, it's basically like you have text channels where you can add tons of content, whatever you want, like links, pictures, movies, and whatever. And then you have voice channels where you can chat with people, you can share your screen, you can like present, you can watch stuff together. It was a hangout platform for guys that play games together, like for their squad, so they could like put Discord on the side and all be in there chatting while they're playing the game and connect the two together. So it's got a lot of integration. You can spend money in it if you want to, and like really customize and do all kinds of wild stuff. And you can have it totally shut off to the public, so nobody can ever take your shit down, flag it. I mean, I've had mine for a while. And I used to post all kinds of controversial things about the jabby jab and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're not the wiser, because they don't go looking unless you open it up publicly. That's when it's on their sites. Otherwise, they have no knowledge. Someone would have to report it. You know what I mean? For that to happen. And that's impossible to do if you turn their invites off. Then it's just, who do you trust to let in, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So it's very nice and handy for like getting together occasionally with some homies if you don't allow it to take up all your time. Yeah, I think it's really cool, and you could express yourself. And I'm an artist and musician, so I put a lot of my stuff on there, and it's like a cool my own little area. But I was gonna invite you if you were on there. So
Yeah, no, I don't have one. I mean, running a YouTube stream, it's just tough to stream every day. I mean, I might take Ed's advice and just start producing 10, 20-minute videos, and maybe stream, once or twice a week. because it's just not like, even Jake, how he's saying, I think it's oversaturated. One, the audience just isn't there. Two,
Yeah.
knowledge doesn't sell. Controversy, that's all people want is controversy. It's
Yeah.
very hard to stay on topic. I just looked it up, Timbo. Yeah, it's the guy. Yeah, it is the UFO guy. They're saying that it's not confirmed with his family, but they were saying something about that guy actually had a pretty big following. He was live like maybe 10 days ago. He had like 2 or 3,000 people live watching. Um, yeah, holy smokes, man. This is like, but yeah, the Discord, man. I mean, I I would think, I mean, I don't even go on Reddit. Like when I look stuff up and then I'll see it has a link to Reddit. I rarely go over there just to see it.
Oh yeah. Well, I totally get it, man. And I respect your peace of mind in that regard. So
Yeah, I mean, it's
for
hard
sure.
enough to do this. Like tonight, I did it because Mr. X said he's off tonight. But the other night, I wasn't even going to do it. The Garden of Eden one, I wanted to sleep. I actually slept for like 20 minutes before I did this stream. I was going to start it at 9, and then I switched it to 9:30. Because a friend of mine, he says when I stream too late, he's already sleeping, falling out. So I said, okay, let me start it a little early. And it never goes as expected. I tried to do it controlling the past, and the shit just turned into a shit show as usual. And it just shows me what life is about. I told Scribe this. I said, look, when I try to do something, usually it doesn't happen. But when I don't try to do it, it happens magically, somehow. I don't know. It's sort of like telling me, not saying don't try, but it's saying you ain't really changing what's going to happen. You think you might be. And, it's like Alan Watt thing. He goes, look, just if you were to say that you can do nothing to improve yourself, nothing, that's it. He goes, that's a scary thing for an American audience because everything's based on self-improvement. He goes, but what do you get from that? What do you get from saying there is no way to improve myself? There's nothing I can do. He goes, you get a rest. You get a chance to relax. He goes, and don't try to figure it out because now you're going against it. He goes, just relax. He goes, do not try to figure it out. He goes, that you'll start to realize that the best things are just happening. And as it's a fine line because people might say, well, what are you saying? Don't do nothing. It's like, well, can you really do anything? Like when I look at the stuff that I've encountered in life and I say, luck, I don't really know. Luck, I try to define it. It's a beneficial thing that happens, but I don't know how it happens. So that's my best definition for it.
Yeah, I think that the non-doership looks like being in the present moment and just going with being in the flow state where you're not so hard gripped onto a specific outcome. You're going with it, and it's kind of like a beautiful surrender, and it's really tough for us as humans to do.
Yeah, well,
because, you know what I mean?
Like I said before, like Andy, you got all these awesome slides and information and everything like that. Like when you would come on the stream and like have slides prepared for the topic and stuff, because you already got all the information, like on a computer or whatever, like when you start.
I have them on my flash drives and stuff because I've got about 4,000, 5,000 pictures from museums I've been to, and it's not
really helps us like stay on topic and have people like add in points to that topic. That
you can't have people adding in. You're the only way to do it. You have to be very strict with people adding. But Asvarun, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, MD. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Anything, or you good?
Blessings, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Asvarun, sorry I'm gonna miss your reading of the book, but I gotta wake up early.
No, I mean, Asvarun, Asvarun is in the facility. He's healing right now. He's going through something with his liver, I think, right, Ezra?
Yeah. Grade 2 fatty liver. I don't know, like I was eating too much of curds at night. So in the Ayurvedic text, now I found out that if you eat too much of curds at night or anything that's very high in protein and go to sleep, it's strenuous for the liver. It's better to sleep empty on an empty stomach at night because your liver will recharge. So I kept consuming all of that, and my liver actually got strained and it got enlarged. So when they did ultrasound scanning, it was bright. If it becomes too bright, then that's grade 3 fatty liver. That's irreversible. So grade 2 fatty liver, they can do something about it. That's why I'm in a wellness center.
Okay. Now, are you feeling a little better, or are you still healing? Right.
Yeah, a bit better.
Okay. Okay. And what are they doing to help you? Are you eating certain things, or are you
Yeah.
not eating? All right.
They've prescribed a certain diet for me, morning, afternoon, and evening, and they're doing acupuncture, and they put me on yoga as well, and then there some physical activity like swimming and gymming is there, and then after that there are other types of oil massages that they're using to bring the condition to normal actually.
Will fasting help, or they don't want you to fast?
Fasting, like they've given a diet which is very minimal, but
Okay.
fasting will also help. Yeah, it will.
Okay. Okay. Because I
Yeah,
figured you wouldn't eat like past a certain hour. You want to stay empty when you go to sleep, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
As
Okay.
for as for Run, I speak peace over you, brother, and
yeah,
I will be sending some prayers up, my friend. So vibrations your way, and for speedy healing, man.
That's great. That's
Blessings to you,
great.
bro.
Yeah, man. Yes, speedy healing, Azrael, man. I hope so. I hope you I really hope a speedy recovery, man. It just it's tough, man. I know, man, health is wealth. It's all we have. It really
yeah,
is. It's like
yeah,
that is the most important thing, because I used to think, okay, it's health and time, but it's health, man. Because if somebody says they could give you as much time as you want, but you're not healthy, it doesn't matter. But even if I
yeah,
have a day of health, it's worth more than 100 years of time that without health.
yeah.
So yeah,
Correct.
yeah, really, yeah,
Some diseases, MD, are so incurable that you'll have to live with them for the rest of your life. So what's the point in living a life like that?
exactly. It's like a punishment, actually. It
Yeah,
gets,
yeah,
yeah, it makes me wonder, like, man, it just, yeah, health is really where it's at, man. But yeah, I was looking up the thing with this guy, David Wilcox, man, and this is like, I'm very surprised, man. I'm like, holy smokes, this guy, oh, Wilcox, yeah, that, yeah, it says he was 53, because he used to do a lot of, he used to do a lot of stuff with the ancient aliens. I mean, I'm looking to see if there's anything. I mean, this is like, holy smokes. I can't believe this guy is gone, if anything. He has 507,000 subscribers on YouTube. He streamed 2 days ago. Pathway to Peace. He had one with Trump on there with that picture he had as Trump trying to portray himself as Jesus. That's crazy, man. I don't know why Wilcock would put that. Maybe he did it for views or something. It just doesn't make sense. And now they're saying he's gone. That's crazy, man. That's like, I'm still trying to like process this. Yeah, Mr. X, did you have anything? I know. I don't know if you're there.
No, I'm right here. I'm right here. No.
Yeah, I think Jake left, but yeah, it just, I understand where he's at, man. There's not really much I could, yeah, I mean, what am I going to say, man? I can only just take it as it happens. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there's not much to say. I mean, we just can't, you know, you can't force it. You just got to
no,
let it happen. No.
no. I mean, it all depends, how you want to run the show. If you just want to stick to the topics, then it's going to have to stay that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very hard to stick to a topic with people coming on the pad. Like you and I, when we were doing the mushroom stream, it was pretty good. And even when Scribe came on, he was talking about his experience. What threw it off was Lasagna and Jake coming on, and then Scribe turned with them. Again, it proved to me Dietrich Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity. It's not psychological, it's more sociological. So when the group starts to act in that manner, it's easy to jump into that frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what happens a lot with live streams and there's too many people, and it just
Well, I think it's fine if everybody sticks to the topic.
it's
That's
very
it.
hard. It's
Don't
very
bring in
hard.
your own agenda. That's the
Yeah,
key.
it's like you'd have to have. I think the more people, the less it's able to stick to the topic. You're always going to have something happen. It's just too many. It's like that saying, too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many chiefs, not enough, Indians, for lack of a better word, even though these people aren't Indians over here. But
Well, when I see the topic, it sounds interesting. That's why I come on. If it wasn't
yeah,
interesting,
no, it was
then I wouldn't
an
have.
interesting topic. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't. I mean, I tried to stay in reality because I'm saying, okay, I understand the whole UFO thing. Now, I didn't know what was happening with Wilcox and stuff. Had I known, that might have been a better topic.
Mhm.
Varun, you had something? All right. Yeah. So, yeah, it just, I figured, okay, because I don't really keep up on too many current events. I guess if it pops up, then I'm like, okay. But now with all this stuff with the UFO stuff, I'm just like, holy smokes, man!
I
What's
just
your
saw.
opinion on the UFOs? What is your opinion? What do you think they are?
I think it's all bullshit, man. I think it's people again trying to say, it's like, with the technology that the government has had even before Roswell, it's like you're dealing with people that constantly lie. Are you going to believe this shit? One thing I know for sure, they're constantly taxing us. Nobody wants to talk about that. No, nobody wants to say, listen, I'm ready to, I'm ready to just not do this anymore. It seems, and I'm not saying UFOs don't exist
Mhm.
or anything like this. I'm just saying, if we look at it realistically and logically and stuff like that, do you really think they're going to come out in the open, or they're going to let them? I mean, we have cloaking devices. As Varun and I spoke about cloaking devices that were spoken about in books that are over 3,000 years old, how to not only make a cloaking device to cloak a ship in the dark rays of the sun on the Terminator line where day turns to night, but also to have different cloaking devices where you can cloak a ship like a cloud, or you can cloak it against the blue sky of the daytime. So now you're looking at scriptures that are thousands of years old talking about cloaking devices and stuff like that. And we're saying, oh, but these UFOs, we're going to see them. And then who's telling me? People that have been known to lie to us over and over again. It reminds me of like politicians telling us, hey, I'm going to lower taxes. I'm going to make sure there's no more wars. I'm going to, and people somehow fall for it. I don't know if I've gotten, maybe reality has hit me so hard when I was younger, but I fall back into that stupidity when I get with the group. If I don't keep my mental strong and say, wait a minute, I'm like, well, what do we, again, like, just like I said, when you realize, okay, you can't do nothing to make things better, what do you get from it? You get a rest. So when I look at other stuff, I say, okay, what am I getting from the Nazis with this bell and time travel? Well, what am I getting from that? I'm getting more distraction. What am I getting from, oh, they saw UFOs? Now, the topic of the stream, what am I getting from that? I'm getting to know and reinforce that, hey, anytime something is found, they militarize it, they hide it, they make sure you don't know the truth. But magically, that becomes not true for when you see a UFO. Do you see the irony in that?
Right.
Right? So they're going to militarize anything we find. You can only go so far in searching it and all of this stuff, but not with UFOs. It shows you that's a distraction to say, well, wait a second. The Navy has had stuff like the Aurora ship and 80 years ago that looks like a UFO. So when I look at that and I say, well, all right, so they're going to let me see something like that that's supposed to be so advanced, but we can't do an archaeological search at Göbekli Tepe. We can't see what's under the pyramids. We don't have no type of excavation that we can just check. So all of that stuff is under such lock and key, but UFOs exist. You see, just the logic and the reason of that shows me that, wait a minute, I think that UFO stuff is a distraction. It again goes to like look at this star. We mapped the moon, we mapped Mars, but we don't even have 5% of the ocean mapped. Oh, and you can't look at the Titanic either. That's, it's international waters and blah, blah, blah. And you see, so when we look at that and somebody tells me something like, hey, they got this and they got that and this time travel, well, I'll say, okay, let's look at it logically. If there is time travel, right?
Mhm.
Then you got all the time in the world. There is no rush. Timbo said, I think they want to engineer a narrative probably while the government has a right. The UFOs, right? But definitely not the Epstein files. You know what I'm saying? Nothing about the PDFs and all of that. And I'm not saying the stuff. So yeah, they want to engineer a narrative. You're absolutely right. It's probably why the government has an official. Wow, that is crazy, man. Brian Nichols, U.S. government says UAPs are real. Well, I guess if the government says so, man, if the government says so, does that make them real?
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, you don't find that kind of funny? That's like something coming out, and you would see this right away. And they say, hey, we just found something, and it proves evolution is true. Would you believe that?
I wouldn't, but yeah.
No, I'm talking, and they put like a series of fossils and all this stuff. And they say, look, it's true. Matter of fact, we're doing this. We know that they made it up, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Even if they show us living animals and they show us the steps that they want to believe in, we'd know it was bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what they did, as a scientifically real, or we would know every one of those things they're presented is orchestrated and it's a well-fabricated lie, right?
Right.
All right. So then why wouldn't UFOs be that? Why wouldn't everything, the time machine and all of that stuff, why wouldn't it be a well-fabricated lie? The one thing that we know isn't a fabricated lie is that we cannot excavate Göbekli Tepe anymore because they filled it back in. They filled in some parts with cement. So we know that. You see what I'm saying? So if we it's hard to stay based in reality. And in the middle of that, we get distracted by movies like 300, all this other stuff. And it's like, man, I just wanted to talk about how sites are militarized, and knowing how sites are militarized. If we really thought about that, we would say, yeah, all this other stuff is a distraction, because so you're going to tell me this other stuff exists, but I can't even search for stuff right here on Earth. We can't go unless we get government permission to search something right here on Earth. But that same government, that same force, look in the sky, there's a UFO, man. Look, we found aliens in Peru. When Sky was telling me that paper mache alien is real, I don't even know what to say at that point, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a response for that. I mean, that's the stuff that wears me out. It's like the Bugs Bunny cartoon where Brody is going around saying, Doc, I'm seeing rabbits everywhere. And he talks to the fortune teller, and it's Bugs Bunny. What's up, Doc? He runs over here to the bakery. Hey, all I'm seeing is rabbits. And it's Bugs Bunny again. What's up, Doc? And he goes to the other guy. What's up, Doc? And he's like, oh my goodness, it's rabbits everywhere. And he goes up to the cop on the Brooklyn Bridge, and he's like, officer, please help me. Everybody's a rabbit. And he's like, what's all this about rabbits, Doc? And he jumps off the bridge. And it's like, I see why these guys made those cartoons, because they were showing just how insane the planet is. Everywhere it's the same. Hey, UFOs, Doc. Time machines, Doc. This, Doc. This. And I'm like, holy smokes. And this is nothing against anybody who's asking questions or anything. It wears a person out. I see now what Brody was doing. If it wasn't for bad luck, he'd have no luck. I don't know if you've ever seen that Bugs Bunny episode.
No, I forget. I remember Bugs Bunny, but I'm more of a Tom and Jerry fan personally. But yeah, I'm trying to look up which sites are guarded. You know, the different sites that are guarded by military intelligence, and what for? What for? You know, what are they
Yeah.
hiding? Let them
Well, I had looked it up. I had it saved before I started the thing. And then, okay, archaeological sites, the Lascaux caves in France. That those are closed. The one with the so-called cave paintings from Paleolithic times.
Okay.
So you can't analyze those and say, well, these ain't even real, or this you can't even go in there.
Mm-hmm.
North Sentinel Island in India, home
Oh
to
yeah, with the tribe. Yeah. The
yeah,
tribe.
exactly. So definitely you don't want we can't figure Dvarka. That's a big one because that's underwater off the coast of Mohenjo-daro, right by Pakistan, India, and the city they say is like twice the size of Manhattan.
Really?
Nobody can go, and and they pulled up artifacts from there, and then they did sonar and they're saying, wait a second, this thing is humongous. There's one guy,
What was
he's
that
an
city
Indian,
name again in India? What was that city name?
Dvarka,
Dvarka.
Dwarka, because they pronounce the W as a V. So the city of Dvarka.
Yeah, I see it right here. Got
Yeah,
it.
and you're not allowed to go. Matter of fact, when the guy went to India to try to find the officials to say, why can't we continue this excavation, he goes, these people were missing. So I think some of them are dead too. So it's sort of like you're not going to research Dwarka unless you do it on your own terms, unless and then you got to worry about them ratting you out and bringing the Indian military there, because if you do evade them, then they'll call in a stronger military. So it's like, wait a minute, just to find out human origins,
Yeah.
that should raise a flag to say, wait a second. So this is something is more than what they're saying is here. Maybe there's afraid that we might find some hidden technology.
It must be. And I'm looking, they did scuba diving underneath. There's a lot of ruins underneath in the
Twice
water.
the size of Manhattan. And there's nobody able to do anything of currently from what they're saying. I mean, this is, I think, over 10 years now. Let me see. Is the city the underwater city of Dwarka off limits? So they're trying to say it's not strictly off limits, but the site is protected, heavily researched, and required special permission. So it's not off limits, but it, like I said, requires special permissions, and it's protected. So it is off limits, basically. Guided tours to explore. So you cannot go and do independent research, even if you're being watched to say, okay, we want to make sure you're not stealing stuff or whatever. They're like, nah, you can't go.
Would that be fair to play devil's advocate that there were people that might go there and try and steal this stuff? And
yeah, no, definitely. That's the perfect excuse to exclude everybody from going there. So it's not saying that people wouldn't do that, but it's saying, wait a minute, if you can prevent those people from going there, right? Then why not escort us as independent researchers to do our research? No, they want a tour, guided tours to explore, special permissions, right? So in other words, you can't say, well, wait a second, can we look and dig oh no, we're not allowed to dig that up. Why? I'm digging it up to see what it is. We're not trying to steal it.
right.
Unguided diving, recreational unguided diving on the archaeological remains is prohibited, right? Due to status, the protected heritage, right? Really? That's true. Really? They want to protect the heritage now, right?
It's amazing what you see under there. I never knew this existed. I had no.
Oh yeah, Dvarka is, and this has been over 10 years. I remember there was a guy. It's on YouTube. he has a video because he's from Indian descent, but he's like, I think his family lives in California. So he talks like a regular person. As a matter of fact, I think he's from Gujarati descent.
Yeah, Gujarat.
Yeah,
Correct. MD.
in the video, he goes to the port and you see Gujarati people and they have like these like tattoos and stuff like on their neck and stuff. And I was surprised. I was like, holy smokes.
And some
And
of
he said,
these,
huh?
no, I was just saying they look like the same thing from Egypt. Some of these statues in Dwarka, the exact same thing as the Egyptian
Yeah.
statues.
Well, similar. Some of them might not be the real, these might be facsimile pictures too. You got to remember a lot of the pictures are people are, it might not be the real pictures. Gulf of Cambay. I'm looking at some of them now. Yeah, some of them are not the actual, they got people that are making these cities but who knows what's down there? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? This is a major find. A major find. Yonaguni, I know you know about that one off of Japan, right? That's the other monuments. And now again, it's not completely off limits. When they say it's not completely off limits, it's off limits.
Mm-hmm.
So increasingly sensitive and restricted areas due to rising geopolitical tensions between Japan and China. So now they're saying, oh, it's political. That's why you can't check out Yonaguni right now.
Mm.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the Yonaguni ruins off the coast under, I think it's one of the lower Japanese islands. You look at it and you start to say, holy smokes, this is like megaliths type of stuff on Yonaguni. Graham Hancock actually brought that to my attention. He had a special back in 1996, 30 years ago. I saw it on the Learning Channel, back when the Discovery Channel and the Learning Channel on TV had like stuff that you wanted to watch. And then it turned into, I don't know who they sold it to, but
you see this all over the world of different cultures, different races. So I'm thinking this was built by something not of the races, basically.
well, not remember, there's no different races really, but there's different people. It's not even a human race; it's a human family basically. But it's used. It seems that humans are used as the labor force, and sort of like saying, you're going to use our technology, but you're not going to understand it. It's like showing them how to use a circular saw, but then you take it back from them. They know how to use it, but they don't own it. So the only thing they can own to use are hand tools, an axe, a chisel, stuff like that. But when it comes to the serious stuff, don't worry, we'll take care of that. And maybe some humans did have access to certain things, but when you look at it, you start to say, yeah, this is very restricted. There's a guy that has some videos out where he was talking about that there was a high level of metallurgy in the Americas when the Spanish came, when Cortez came. So they were saying that you're talking a high level of copper red smithing, and they had something that the Europeans hadn't figured out yet, was how to smelt platinum. And they found stuff that was platinum coated. So now you're looking at a technology that these people still remembered remnants of it, but they don't really remember, like, why would you need to smelt platinum? So they're smelting it for like religious artifacts and stuff and jewelry, but there's a technological reason why you would need that. I've had people tell me who are evolution zombies, and this guy's an evolution zombie where man likes shiny stuff, and I'm like, so that's why you're telling me gold is valuable? You're telling me gold, people are killing each other, waging wars over gold in ancient history because it's shiny? The Native Americans even had said that. They go, what, this yellow rock drives the white man insane. Because every treaty, when they had a treaty, when they found gold, they just went ape shit on them. And they said they went to war with them because they would dig out Mother Earth's shiny bones. That's what they call the copper and the gold and stuff like that, and silver. So you wonder, you say, why? What is the benefit of silver, gold, and copper? Now we know the benefit of copper, right?
Well, silver is the best electrical conductor. I know that.
No, gold is a better electrical conductor than
Oh,
silver.
silver. Let me look that up. I can look it up.
Silver, I don't think gold tarnishes. Yeah, go ahead, Azmaroon.
Yeah, gold MD, there is a alchemical combination in which the Siddhas know how to do. They can solidify mercury. It's called parada, and then they use an alchemical combination of makaradwaja, mixture of silver, gold, and mercury.
Yeah.
By consuming it, if done correctly, the person becomes immortal. But it's only guarded by these immortal beings who know how to use it. You can lengthen your lifespan, and you can digest huge amounts of knowledge, and you can be free of disease. So
Okay.
gold actually has a lot of important properties in Ayurveda, MD.
Yeah,
It can
no, I
even
think you're correct. You're correct. Well, according to this, it's saying silver is the overall best electrical
Yeah, I looked it up.
conductor. However, copper is more practical.
It's
Gold is less conductive than both silver and copper. Wow. But it's superior for high-end contacts because it does not corrode. So that's what it is with gold. So silver, I think, does oxidize in copper, but gold doesn't corrode. So
I know
the-
there's a lot. I've been following this. A lot of heavy demand right now for silver because of the AI revolution that's going on.
Oh yeah. Plus they have a battery that they made out of silver that lasts a lot longer. So there's a
Yeah.
certain battery. Actually I had some silver coins and I turned them in because I needed cash. And
Ooh,
they
They've
gave me a
gone way
pretty
up
good
in
price.
value.
Yeah, I didn't want to turn them in, but man, I needed the money. And somebody had paid me with 5 silver coins, and they were 1-ounce coins each. And I had to take like a loss because
What year did you sell them?
there was a guy that has a pawn shop. Like I had to give my ID and everything, and he goes, "Look, I didn't." He goes, "You should." And the guy was a cool guy. He goes, "You should hold on to them." He goes, "It might go up." And I said, "Well, if you're going to give me, he gave me like 200 and change. It was like $60 a coin when it was worth around 70 something or 80. It might have went up now, but
okay. It's in the 70s right now.
yeah. So no. So then I made a good deal because
Oh, it was just recently. I thought you sold it like years ago.
yeah, no, this is like last month, I think. Yeah.
Oh, then you're fine.
Yeah, because I was supposed to get $500, but then the guy, I got like maybe $300 worth of silver. He goes, "Would you take silver coins?" And I was like, "Sure." And it was pure fine. I said, if it's 9.999, I said, yeah, because you have 0.999 and then you got 0.9999. Which I don't know if there's a big difference they're saying, but they're not going to give you much more if it's the 4 nines. And even he told me, he tried to first, give me some sterling silver, like he had chains. I was like, nah, I was like, I'd rather take the coins, So he tried to get me a little on that.
That sounds not the same.
I was like, I was like, just give me the coins, And the coins were cool. When I was holding them, I was like, I could feel the weight. I was like, wow, these are definitely heavier than normal coins because silver is more dense than and gold is even more dense. If they're gold, they were worth like $5,000 a pop. That would have been beautiful for an ounce. But now I think gold might have went up too.
Yeah, I've just been following the metals for a while because
Yeah.
investments in mutual funds and stuff. So I follow
And I
this
think
stuff regularly.
they're saying mixing them too. So if you mix gold to silver, 80 gold, 20% silver, they said it gives you the most reflective. Like I remember Graham Hancock, I think he was saying something about that, where they were finding reflector things like reflector bracelets that the Spanish found to where you could reflect the sunlight and ignite, like tinder for fires and stuff like that. But they didn't know what it was used for. But yeah, so it says silver conducts best, but it tarnishes, forming an oxide layer, which reduces the efficiency over time. See, this is why I was saying that gold, I thought gold conducted better, but they're saying it's less conductive, but the power that gold has is that it doesn't, it won't corrode.
Right.
So it's saying the best for specialized uses, gold, 70% is used for connectors and plating because it offers excellent corrosion resistance and reliability over time. So it would be I don't know if that's called an alloy, because I'm not sure if once you put them together, if you can take them back apart, because an alloy, that's what would be different from an alloy compared to an amalgam. So an amalgam would be if you put two metals together and then if you melt them, those metals can be separated again. The alloy would be once you mend them together, that's it. Like nickel is an alloy compared to, something different.
I think also gold was more scarce too than silver. It was just
well, so they tell us. So they tell us, because and that's again how we fall into believing them, because what if there's a thing where gold, they find something and it's like, holy smoke, it's like the mother lode of gold. Now it changes. It's like evolution. Oh, this thing is extinct. This thing is rare. And then you find out, no, it's not. It exists right here, and they'll never say they lied. They'll say, oh, no, well, look, it exists. It's a living fossil. So like when they tell us gold is more rare or something like that, it's like, well, who's telling me this? The same person that tells me evolution is a fact, But I'm not saying, it could be, I'm not saying it. But I always got to question who it is that's telling me.
Of course.
Platinum, because I know platinum, let me see.
That's very rare. Yeah, platinum is very hard to find. I think most of it's in South Africa, I think. It's only found in certain parts of the world.
Platinum is conductive, but significantly less than silver. So why, what was the thing? All right, what is platinum's, because they have another one, what is platinum's purpose?
They use it in catalytic converters. Yeah, most of it comes
definitely a catalyst.
Yeah.
So its primary purpose is a catalyst. And again, this is what they're telling us. 50% demand dedicated to reducing harmful emissions during, all right, so automotive catalysts, because people were stealing those and getting money.
Yeah.
That was a big
thing.
There
was a lot of money for that. Yeah, platinum's very expensive.
Yeah, I worked in a junkyard, and I remember those things. Yeah, they were worth. The chemical using and producing nitric acid, fertilizer, silicone, and petrochemicals, hydrogen fuel cells. Okay, now we're getting to something that makes sense. Hydrogen-powered vehicles. Now we can see where platinum has a little more worth. The medical field. Chemotherapy drugs. That's odd. Yeah, electronics, computer hard disk, LCDs. Okay, that makes a little more. But it says for its electrical conductivity, but it's not supposed to really have that from what they're saying. Yeah. So I guess it's saying it has a high corrosion resistance. So lasts in harsh conditions, high melting point, so it's perfect for intense heat environments, malleability, so it can be I think it's worth less than gold today. That's crazy. It used to be more, I think. Platinum, right?
Yeah. It's still pretty high. Yeah, I'm looking at silver, and it's actually used in solar panels and medicines due to superior electrical conductivity, antibacterial properties. Yeah, so the metals are that's vital for a lot of industry.
Yeah. There's definitely something else that I think these metals are used for.
X-ray technology, too. Yeah, I'm seeing all that.
Yeah, it's kind of they say jewelers don't like it because it's hard to work with. Significantly denser than gold. Wow. Making it heavier. Because I felt the weight of those silver coins and I was like, wow. You start to feel like, holy smokes, the density of it.
Yeah, and they also use it in water purification technologies, too. So to purify the water that we drink.
I thought there was something that I ran across years ago where platinum was a little toxic. You had to be a little careful of it.
But the metals lately have been really going up in value. I mean, the last year you would have made a killing investing, in the miners and everything.
I heard earlier this year, like January, platinum was up to 100. It's like 100 an ounce.
Platinum? No, it's higher than that, I think.
No, I mean silver, because it's
Yeah,
70 now. It was 80. I think.
78, but at one point it was at 120 at one point.
Yeah, something like that. They were telling me it was high, and it just went down. Palladium is a rare, lustrous, silvery white precious metal, atomic number 46 of the platinum group, and it's used in the catalytic, known for its durability and tarnish resistance. It's 30 times rarer than gold. Wow. So palladium, that's another one. That was that back with the Studio 54 days, they had a club called the Palladium.
The palladium, yeah.
Yeah. And then they had another one, Bonds. A friend of mine who was older, he said that, yeah, the Studio 54 wasn't really as big as those other two. Yeah, because they pushed Studio 54, because of the closet thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, because you wonder, why did they make Studio 54 to be such a big, thing?
Definitely
No,
wasn't.
I haven't, Ascetico. I haven't seen. I heard Matt. If it's the Matt Walsh I'm thinking about, I heard he's like a kind of like a racist. I'm not sure.
Matt Walsh?
Yeah, Matt Walsh. If it's the one I'm thinking about on YouTube, a lot of people had called him out on that. Like he tries to, a lot of these guys, as we already know, it's again goes back to the manifest destiny thing. They think they built every freaking thing on the planet and nobody else could do something like that. And like I showed, the Aboriginal guy, Lewis Latimer, Benjamin Banneker, it's like that one guy, that racist who does the Atlantean Gardens, Robert Seffer. I mean, it's horrible because he calls himself an anthropologist and he's like really, really harsh on Black people, with the whole ape theory and stuff. And basically saying that, the only people that ever created anything were basically white, which is incorrect. Because I'm saying, how do you have people that are oppressed in America, right? I mean, just slavery times, right out of slavery, forming a car company, Patterson Car Company, redeveloping peanut butter, George Washington Carver, making plastics from certain walnuts and stuff like that, plant-based plastics. Benjamin Banneker making the street light. The first ambulance in 1967 was a Black group company.
What about dry cleaning? Wasn't that made by a Black
Possibly,
American?
yeah. I mean, I would believe you if I mean, I know you do your research too. So when I look at this stuff, and it's not to say anything racial, it's saying, it's saying that okay,
Yep,
I'm
Thomas Jennings, freed African American tailor.
Yeah, so I'm just questioning, like, if there was no instances of these men creating and inventing these things, then I would say, wow, it seems like nobody has really invented nothing except for a certain group of people. But
I make my judgments based on the evidence, not on
exactly. So the evidence we're seeing, we're not seeing that with the evidence. We're seeing that Native American tribes had, some of them, not all, had a high degree of understanding how to smelt metals. Now, in that, I would still see people talk about the Wisconsin copper, saying, oh, the copper was rich and they could just pound it. They didn't need to smelt it. I'm like, yeah, in that area. But then there's also proof of them smelting the copper and the platinum and stuff. So,
absolutely.
The red flag that brings up is why are they trying to diminish these people's worthiness as technological or geniuses? Why? What is the fear of that? Are we going to find something that they're afraid of?
I think the agenda's changed though over time. I think back when Darwin came out, it was about colonization and taking over certain countries. Now
Well,
you
even
pretty
before
much
that, no, I think the colonization was there before that. Darwin was the book to exonerate them
that's what
for
I
the
meant,
crimes. Yeah.
basically.
So the colonization was happening, and he said, "Look, you know what? People are seeing how guilty we are,
Right.
so we need to create an out." Just what we're seeing today in the White House.
Yeah.
Everybody's forgetting about the crimes that's being committed. Especially now, they're trying to, I think, indict him with the oil thing. They're saying they made like 800 million because he leaked the info, and somebody, like, I don't know if they restricted or bought something, but they made like 800 million bucks.
They probably went short. They bought contracts to go short,
Well,
basically.
it was something with the stock thing, and they're thinking that it's two sons, Barron Trump and the other. And I said, well, what could you, does that surprise you? I mean, they're also saying he paid his way out of a grape case.
Sure.
And this is common, anybody can look this up. So it's like he's convicted of grape and he settles for a certain amount because, get this, the statute of limitations were up. So when you look at that, you start to say to yourself, but why wasn't it up on Bill Cosby then? So magically it disappears with this guy, but the other guy from 40 years ago, now they're still, it's very odd when you look at it. Remember, questions, they don't like questions. They don't like questions. They just want to give you answers. Hey, and that's why when I look at the UFO thing and all of that, this, Brother Ali, if this is the guy, no, this is not the brother. Yeah, this is not the Arabian Ography, I remember. But I appreciate that, Ragamuffin. If you want to hop back on too, I know you wanted some stuff to say. You're always welcome.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just looking into like the palladium and stuff like that and the platinum.
No, they say AI, it's heavy demand. They say AI for their data centers. They need massive amounts of copper, aluminum, lithium, and other rare earth elements.
Yeah,
so
copper
AI
went up, I
revolution
think.
is there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is and there's other things. They're saying, silver, copper, and gold are the best conductors, but there has to be other things. It's like, to believe that gems, the most hardest gem is a diamond. Now they're seeing that on meteor sites on the rim of the crater has a creative, I don't know if it's a crystal, but it's called wurtzite and lonsdaleite. And they said if it's refined, scientists have boasts to where they can get it up to a 15. So it's 1.5 times harder than a diamond. So now you can probably cut through steel like butter with that. Yeah. But then they're saying that there's carbon nanotubes that they're using that's almost 100 times more. So now you're looking at something that can slice through things, and you say to yourself, like, holy smokes, they try to the mind, man. They try to control the mind.
But this kind of puts the pieces of the puzzle together, because why are we doing all these wars? Most likely it's for mineral resources. It's for resources when it comes down to it.
Well, but the resources for what? You see what I'm saying? It's like, what are these resources used for? Like, I can understand food, I can understand fuel. But when I look at these other stuff, the thing goes to technology.
Yeah.
They're trying to say, oh, well, we're going to store it in a vault. For what, though? What are you going to make with that stuff? And then when we look at the technological world, we say, oh, okay. Like, you look at aluminum, that's definitely made for, he was tending to the house. Yeah, I didn't know. The link is pinned to the top of the chat if you want to hop on, or just let me know and I'll post it again. It should be on the top. I always pin it during the streams. There's a guy, he's got to get back to me. He does stuff with the electricity with the Dendera light bulb.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff, he actually built it. He built the vacuum tube, and I spoke with him. He has a channel, and matter of fact, he did an interview with Praveen Mohan like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Mm.
And he met him. They were on camera, but his channel isn't that big. His channel's like a couple hundred subs, but I think the videos he did with Praveen and other people got a lot of views on their thing. And he said that, he'll be free, on a Friday, Saturday, maybe. And it'll be,
There's a market for knowledge, MD. You're saying it right there. There's a market for this. Just got to get
well,
with the right creators. You know what I mean?
yeah, but it's a tough push. It's really more of I mean, it's like a lot of stuff I've encountered, like, the architects, I still have it there. The evolution thing, because I said, okay, I gotta, to buffer it. I'm starting to see, like, okay, to just come out with architects, it needs something to cut it. It needs something to defend it, which would be the evolution thing, to say, look, these are the things that debunk this. Because everybody, it's like they're all into the caveman stuff. And I'm like, look, did you know that these guys got caught for fraud, right? And the biggest one that people don't want to admit is the Neanderthal fraud. And it's hard to believe. Like, people are like, wait a minute, you telling me Neanderthals never existed? I'm like, look, that's not Neanderthals, man. That's humans. That's older humans. So you have, it's interpretation of the evidence.
Yeah.
These could be 300-year-old humans. And people, oh man, what are you into, that conspiracy stuff? No, this is science.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, these are different people. And then they come out with the Denisovians. I mean, it's just fairy tale after fairy tale.
But a dangerous fairy tale. A very dangerous.
Very dangerous. It's like these 18 bones tell us, everything about what they ate and where they migrate. It's like, get the hell out of here, man.
Right.
It's modern day blackface. That's what evolution is.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is. It's just, they're making all of these, models mocking black people, basically.
Yeah, the country has a history of it.
Yeah. Being that they can't openly say it. Richard Thompson and Michael Cremo, who wrote Forbidden Archaeology, he said it best in one of his lectures, because one of his students goes, well, what about the missing links? He goes, well, 100 years ago, they would say, look, right here, the different peoples.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically have it in print saying that the Aborigines were the missing link.
Yes.
They didn't even look at them as human. They're like, oh, this person is more primitive than they were trying to say than Africans, as if Africans were primitive. And it's like, wait a second. These people seem to have adapted to the surface. The Aborigines, many of them are born with blonde hair that stay even until adulthood. Polynesians too, and Melanesia. So that's a mystery. You start to say, wait a second, we need to look into this. And again, they want to own it. Oh, no, don't, believe us. We're telling you what it is. And again, that brings us, and we see how evolution can seep in, that mindset can seep into other things. We're going to tell you that this thing doesn't exist anymore, or this is hard to find. And it's like, why? So you can raise the price of it? Because look at diamonds. Diamonds are abundant. How do they make money off it? They tell you, hey, it represents love.
Of course.
And you got to have it. If you don't have it, you're cheap. You don't love her. You got women brainwashed on that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you ain't basically getting them a blood diamond, they ain't happy.
No.
They want a big diamond, and it's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
You look at so many people where it's like, shouldn't we be putting a down payment on the house instead?
Oh, they
get
the house too, though. They want the house and the diamond.
They want it. That's what I realized. Some people, when you see somebody that can't be satisfied, it's like, wait a second. That's where some of these stories. I'm surprised that it had that story with Adam simping for Eve and Angel Raphael telling him, bro, what's wrong with you, man?
But they're still doing it today. The guys are still
Still
simping.
doing it. Adam was the first simp, probably.
He was, and we all descended from him.
I'm not sure of that, but
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
well, okay.
yeah, you know, I mean,
Some people would believe it that we descended.
yeah, I mean, it's always a possibility,
hmm
but it's like, you know,
But there's strong evidence, though. There's a lot of strong evidence when you look at the world that we live in.
I mean, but what evidence? Like, what would that evidence be? I would like to know.
Simping for women, the whole jewelry industry is based.
No, I'm saying the strong evidence that we all descended from Adam.
No, I'm just saying hypothetically because of the simping epidemic.
Well, the simping is off the head, but there's some men that don't simp. You got predatory men. Look at Ted Bundy. I don't think he was simping. Richard Ramirez.
Mhm.
You know, some of these guys are just brutal maniacs that, you know, they act like the stereotypical caveman, which, you know, hits the woman on the head and drags her away by the hair, you know, which of course seems to be fictional. But then when we see what some of these nutcases do,
Mhm.
you start to say, wait a second, this is crazy. And
I
you
actually watched
see,
a documentary about Ted Bundy last night. It was interesting you mentioned him. I watched a documentary about him.
wow.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but
Mhm.
man, I can't even believe it. All the stuff that happened yesterday, right? You were on the stream, right?
Oh, right.
I looked today and I'm like, there is just no way. The mayor of New York, this guy Memdani or something,
Yeah.
Oran Mamdani.
he freaking gives a quote about Tupac. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. He's like, oh, we got money for wars, but not to feed the poor. I'm like, what? I'm like, so you can't just say that yourself. You gotta quote this guy. And then the fact that we had, the stream, and I said, and now you're saying with the Bundy, how do these things even synchronize like this, right?
Yeah, it's strange.
It's very strange. And these are the things that I think are extremely important to look into. These
They are.
synchronicities.
I agree 100% with that. That's why I'm a believer in order and design. Nothing happens by chance.
Oh yeah, nothing happens by chance. Nothing. That I totally can see, okay, yeah. With the Adam thing, I wonder, okay, that's part of the story. What if, okay, yeah, we contain those genes, but what if we contain something more? What if we also have genes from the pre-Adamites, which, could be the people that was created before the Adam and Eve? Because remember,
Mhm.
if Adam and Eve, when they say the contradictory stuff about, okay, they're the first created, and then Cain and Abel, and then Cain kills Abel, and he leaves, but he's worried about other people outside of the garden. So by logic and reason, you start to say, well, wait a second. God, or who they're calling God, wouldn't have to give Cain a mark of protection, the mark of Cain, because who is he protecting him from? You see what I'm saying? So the logic comes in to say, so that by logic and deduction and reason, there's other people. And then the big one is, people would say, who did Cain marry? How did he get a wife? Right? To start the Canaanites, right? Which supposedly Canaan was the land. What was the ancient area of Canaan? Palestine and Israel. So the people from that area would be considered the Canaanites. But we're told, like, when people research this and they start to look like, okay, I think Syria was called Aram. And then, you look at Iraq was Babylon. What was Iran called? I forgot what they said it was.
Persia, MD.
Yeah, Persia. But I think even before Persia, what was it called? Because it was called Persia, you're right. But that could be the oldest form, maybe. Mesopotamia?
Mesopotamia.
Yeah, it might have been, okay, before Persia. They had a video that I had seen earlier that was breaking it down, and I was like, wow, this is deep. It's like, what were these places called before their current names. We know that like places like Finland was called Suomia. Thailand was the kingdom of Siam. This is why they call the cats Siamese cats, but they renamed it Thailand. Many places, this land here was,
MD?
yeah, yeah. You all right? Azra? Are you there? I think it's Mike. Are you there, Azra? Can you hear us? Okay, whenever you can, just jump in.
Yeah, I need to go. The doctor
Okay.
appointment is there.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on your show, MD.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for being here. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Good luck with
Goodbye,
everything.
Mr.
Azrael.
X.
Hope
Yeah,
everything
goodbye,
goes well
Mr.
for
X.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Mr. X.
You're welcome.
Yeah. We have you in our prayers, man. I hope you heal soon. Yeah, man. Azrun's a good guy, man. I really hope everything works out with him.
Yeah, I've had my share of health issues too. It sucks.
Man, it's brutal. All we have is health. That's the only thing we can hope for, man.
That's why I say forget revolution. Just think about survival. That's the key, is survival. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough, man, because sometimes you want to live, but basically we just got to be happy we're surviving. It's like, is it even worth it at sometimes, man? I wonder. It's just like...
I think it is. I think it is. I mean, we could be in a lot worse situations,
Oh, yeah. When you look at other people, what they go through, oh, man, it's like, man, it just...
Remember, our version of poverty is not the version of the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, also, I've heard a thing where, people would say, oh, they wanted, they didn't get the sneakers they wanted. And it's like, yeah, tell that to the guy with no feet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, you'd be happy you can wear sneakers, and that's really being grateful for what we have. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. Humbleness and being grateful for just to have what you have. And it's so true. It's so true.
But we can't solve the world's issues. That's not our goal. We're just regular people. You know what I'm saying? We don't control.
I guess. I mean, maybe that's what they want us to think. Part of me just says, is it like, are we more than regular people?
Well, I think we have to get the right thinking involved. If we
yeah,
think
or you could be right. We could just be regular. No, you're right. It could. It kind of reminds me of the saying. They say the problem is you got stupid people that are sure of themselves, but intelligent people are not.
I agree.
And that's so true. It's like maybe because we're cautious. I think I forgot who had the saying. They said, do what you're gonna do. Because the bold get caught just as much as the cautious. So, break whatever law, do whatever it is you're going to do, because it's about the same, and we see it now with all of the stuff that, I mean, you just see all the crime that people are getting away with in high positions. And it's not even hidden. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's like, holy smokes. It really makes me wonder. I mean, I can understand where Jake was coming from. Like, the pictures and all of that again. But it's like, I think he was supposed to start a channel a long time ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was saying back when we were doing the other channel, he's like, oh, he's going to start a channel. It's like, yeah, great. I'll promote it for you, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess people start to see how hard it is to do the channel. It's much easier to hop on somebody else's live stream. It's much easier.
That's why I try to be respectful when I come on here. I don't try.
Yeah, and you always are, man. I mean, my friend Ed that watches it, he's like, yeah, you're the only one. He goes, Mr. X is deep, man. He comes up with some deep stuff. I said, yeah. I said, whenever we talk, we can have a great conversation, and usually it's somebody else that messes it up.
It's true, sad but true, and
yeah.
Look,
it's nothing against them. Yeah, nothing against them, But we just have better conversations when we talk. I mean,
like I say, I don't try and overtake the stream with my own agenda. I always say I'll make a statement, but then I'll ask a follow-up question, and then you take over.
Yeah, and you're not telling me to start going to a different field,
No,
it's like that. I can't even. I mean, when I think of that, it's just like. It's like, holy smokes.
And I understand your anger because it's disrespectful. You know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to present something and you're dismissing it. It's like, look, I like Scribe, but there's two things, and they're both not good. And I'm just going to say it because of
Yeah.
it.
No,
It's
it really.
either he's doing it to distract the stream, or he really believes in this Tupac nonsense. Either one is bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
None of it's good.
yeah. Well, now I'm starting to see that it could be a little bit of like not necessarily distraction, but more like an opposition thing to maybe he thinks he's doing something to give it a little more spunk. But I think more of it is he's been infected by the Tupac zombie. Yeah, he's. I mean, and I see this. Jake said he was an Eminem zombie, but Jake snapped out of it. Now, who knows? He might be listening to Eminem right now. You know, it just I don't know. But Eminem, and I know a lot of people that was stuck on that. But the Tupac thing, it's a phenomena that goes beyond any other rapper. I mean, the fact that the mayor, I saw a meme where he said that, and I said, how is that possible? You know, it's like, what the hell is the mayor doing quoting Tupac? That's crazy. That's nuts. And right after, you know, we had the stream, I'm like, it's like, I didn't even know what to think of it. I said, the universe is like laughing or something. It's like, so this guy.
I wonder what the plan is for New York. It's like, it seems like they're trying to destroy that city.
Oh yeah, it's very, very much yeah, it's messed up. I mean, I don't know. He had proposed some tax for the rich, but I doubt that's going to go through. You know, like a more than one home tax. So
yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, something like that. But it's just, you know, of course, and that's again, they try to say something and they say
always it's a con though. They always say we're going to tax the rich, and before you know it, you're paying the tax.
Yeah, it's always a con. And now, you know, they're saying the tariffs, you know, we had to pay more, and now all of these companies are getting reimbursed from the tariffs. So it's like, okay, they raised their prices and now they're going to get reimbursed, but are we getting reimbursed from the high prices that they increased?
We're the ones paying in the end.
Yeah.
And why all the taxes anyway? Why not just stop the corruption first before you raise taxes? What good it raises taxes if we're never going to see a dime? It's not going to help us.
It's crazy. Like I remember one guy wrote a meme years ago and he said, you know, trillions of dollars in debt to who? He goes, who are we in debt to? You know, he goes, what is this fictional debt? And I'm like, that's a very good point. It's always trying to tell us that we owe. Oh, you know, there's a deficit. It's like, to who? It's like you print money out of thin air and then you try to tell us we owe somebody. It's like, get the hell out of here. I mean, and this is why I see why they would have control of the food and the water and the land.
Yeah.
Because they know that they're crooks, you know, but, you know, you give somebody a flag and you tell them that they're, you know, better than other countries. Like one guy said, nationalism teaches you to hate people you don't know and be proud of stuff you never built. And I was like,
it is. Yeah,
really. And people take it. I look at some of these interviews that people talk to some of the supporters of Trump with, and it's a level of insanity that is just ridiculous. Because they'll put, you know, Democrats too, but I'm just saying when you look at this, the current administration, and you start to say, I can't believe these people. I mean, the IQ level, or, you know, and I don't like to use that, but I mean, it's embarrassing.
Well, you know how, you don't want to know where we stand? I was watching a wrestling. It was on TV, and it was WrestleMania, and it must have been a packed stadium with 60 to 70,000 people, and still people watch that stuff. You know what I mean? They still watch that stuff.
Yeah.
So if they're into that and they can watch something that's basically fake and everybody knows it's fake, then what do you think about politics? Of course, they're gonna get away with murder.
Yeah. You know? The fact that pro wrestling exists,
still,
you know, when you look at, and they call it pro wrestling. So the real wrestling, you know, that you have with the college sports and stuff,
right?
And then so that should be pro wrestling. You know, it's like, well, what is this fake stuff is called pro wrestling, and it's a big closet fest.
Yeah, it's not even entertaining. I mean,
Oh yeah, you
I used
got
to like when I was
people.
a kid back in the day with Andre the Giant and all those
Mhm.
kids. You know, when I was a kid.
And even then, when you look at it, it's like, who wants to look at men in tights?
That's true.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I think Bobby Backlund, was the champ or something, and Jimmy Superfly Snook. I was
Oh, I
really,
love Jimmy Snuka.
yeah, I remember seeing them at Madison Square Garden and the steel cage. I was like very young. And I remember we had binoculars because we were sitting so far away. And then they put up the steel cage and I'm like, what is this? And the adults, I honestly didn't enjoy it because you couldn't see it. We were so far away. It was like you needed the binoculars.
Mhm.
And even when you looked at it, you realize, you could see it in the distance. We had to be like maybe at least 80 rows away. And but I'm like, I would have much rather go to a museum or something like that. I guess I was that type of kid. It was
Right.
sort of like, I don't want to go to see Jimmy Snuka and Bobby Backlund at the.
I used to watch on Saturdays. I admit it. When I was a kid, though. When I was a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah. I mean, I never used to watch it, but I remember them taking me to Madison Square for that particular match. And it was, older siblings and, brother-in-law and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's thanks, but I would have rather did something else.
Well, what did you think of the adults getting into it? That must have been something to see.
Oh yeah,
Man, if you think about
yeah, and I didn't understand it. My sister, I remember, took me to the Museum of Natural History when I was 16, and we were in Manhattan, and I remember seeing the big blue whale, hanging off the thing. But again, it's a fairy tale, because that whole museum is built on the evolution thing,
that's right.
And I didn't know it at the time, and I didn't really, know evolution or anything. So I was just looking at it for, oh, this is cool because you're seeing animals,
Hmm.
in like I guess the the models of animals, because it wasn't real animals, it was models, and yeah, I think about that, it's like, yeah, yeah, just yeah,
Shows you the
that
mentality, and then the people, grown adults, fighting with each other in stadiums
yeah.
over a
Oh
ball
man.
chaser.
I remember going to the Cosmos game. I don't know if it was in Shea Stadium or I think there's a stadium for the Cosmos. They were like a soccer team.
Oh, a soccer team. Okay.
Yeah. And my brother-in-law, one of my brother-in-laws, he was a photographer for Minolta. I don't even know if that camera company exists anymore.
Hmm.
They used to compete with Canon and Nikon. And Minolta was like, it was a pretty good company. And I remember he would get the press passes, and that's how I got to see the Cosmos. I forgot who they were playing. And then Pele was still alive. He had made an appearance at one game. And but I didn't enjoy it. I'm sitting in the thing and I'm like, it was like, this is not fun to me. I guess maybe I was introvert, or I was the kid that wanted to go to the museum
Sure.
or to a farm or something like that, something where I could realize like what the purpose of it is, to say, oh, okay, I can, because I always loved animals, yeah, yeah, just,
No. It's like it's in you. It's just it's part of our DNA. What we like or dislike. It's
yeah,
just
like I want to learn, it's like, that was something that they don't cultivate, that, they cultivate more physical, sports. Yeah, I like, engaging in some, but not to a point where it's a fanatic.
Yeah.
That's what always got to me. Like people couldn't just play sports. They had to be fanatics. They had to be fans, like,
No, I think grown adults acting that way is it's really stupid. It's
yeah. And it seems to be learned uh from youth,
yeah. I
'cause you see.
understand young kids at a sporting game dressing up with the hat and everything. That's perfectly fine. They're kids, but a grown adults acting stupid, no. That's
Well, I think that's where the kids, that thing leads to the adult, So, like, how does the adult act like that? I think it comes from the childhood conditioning of saying, hey, watching men chase balls is important. And it's like, really? And they're like, yeah, man, you got to know how many balls he chased, how many he hit, how many he saved. You know, this guy's like a top ball chaser, man. It's
Yeah.
like, matter of fact, we want to go to the ball chasing championships. You know, think about that. It's like the ball chasing championships. It's like,
And they'll play
holy,
top dollar for it too. They'll pay a lot
yes.
of money for those tickets.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they definitely. It's like, hey man, we want any type, big bowls, little bowls, you know, colored, you know, checkered bowls, base bowls, you know. It's like, what am I, a seal? You know,
Well, it's
in a
like,
circus or something?
and I like basketball. It's like I find that it can be entertaining, but it's like to me that's the dumbest one because the guy who originated, I think he did it for a bunch of children, and they were baskets. He did it in Springfield, Massachusetts. The guy had
Mhm.
and it's just like it's just a ball going in a hole, but guys
Yeah.
break it down like it's such a big deal. You
It's a bunch of men on the court. It's a closet fest. It's like that, baseball, football, golf. Golf is like, you know, it's like you got cement playgrounds and golf courses where kids, you know, you look at it. And I heard a lot of golf courses, like all of them are like sprayed heavily, like with pesticides to to keep the courses green and, you know, without weeds and stuff, to where people get messed up, you know. I think there was golf courses and pesticides. So Parkinson's, I think. So there's a Parkinson's risk from the Journal of American Medicine. I think it's JAMA. 2025 found that living within 3 miles of a golf course, holy smokes, particularly in areas with contaminated groundwater, was associated with an increased risk in Parkinson's. That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's a little scary for me too.
You know, and it's crazy because my friend lived in Fresh Meadow, Queens, right over here. And there's a golf course over there. I remember him telling me. And his father, I think, got Alzheimer's or something. I think it was called vascular dementia. I don't know if he's still alive. Holy smokes. Pesticide. Golfers can be exposed to pesticides through skin contact, inhalations. And, you know, that's karma, right? That's the way I look at it. It's like, okay, you want kids to play. Queens has cement playgrounds, but golf courses. Figure that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like water contamination. So the pesticides run off, particularly on the greens, affecting the local water supplies. And they wear long pants, they wash hands. Oh, holy smokes, man. Filters capable of removing. Because I heard that they had a pesticide where they were finding birds dead on the grass. That's how lethal it was.
Jeez.
I forgot the name of that pesticide too. Yeah, that's like, oh man. This is maintain the cosmetic appearance of it. That is I remember when I was in the Army and I first played putt-putt, I used to like it. But you know, because it was like the mini golf thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, eventually the fantasy wears off. You know, it's like, what am I doing? You know, it just, thank goodness it does. You know, you got some people it doesn't wear off, and it's like,
no, they just go nuts with it.
Yeah, you still, you know, they're doing dumb shit up until, you know, old age and all of that. It says it has neurotoxic, like chlorpyrifos or chlorpyrifos, being banned for certain uses, although they still use them. That's hilarious, man. That's the fact that you got people playing golf and, you know, they're spraying it with this stuff. Yeah.
I never had an idea. You know what I started doing just now? See how it goes. I'm starting to take like these vitamin shots and everything, like injections.
Mm-hmm.
Because just as the older you get, I notice a difference when I have more vitamins in me. I don't know if it has to do with age, you know.
Oh man, the age thing. We were putting up a pool the other day, and that's why I couldn't stream last Thursday, because I put it up on Wednesday in Queens, the Queens Village. Actually, they have like smaller houses, and you know when we went back to like put the liner and everything in, and it didn't feel like hard work. It was just basic work. And when I got home, I was like, oh, and it was hot that day. That's the crazy thing. It's cold right now. It was like 80 degrees that day. Now it's like 45 degrees. I had to turn on the heat. Actually, I got like a space heater on, and it it was hot. We were wearing just regular t-shirts, and I could smell the plastic off the lining as
Oh,
we were
wow.
setting it in, and I'm like, holy smoke, these chemicals. So I got home, and the whole thing was like, all right, I went to get something to eat, and I said, as soon as I get home, I got to jump in the shower. And then after I came out the shower, I was just tired. I streamed that. I don't know if I streamed that night. I think that was the night maybe I didn't stream.
Yeah,
And
you
then I
skipped one
streamed.
night. You did skip a night.
Yeah, I skipped the night. So that was the night that we put it, and I was like, man, I gotta rest. And I laid down, and then the next day I was still kind of recovering, and I could feel like the soreness. And I'm like, man, I don't remember like doing like, I guess I was just doing normal stuff. It wasn't like I was lifting heavy stuff and stuff. It was just regular stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the toll, and I'm like, wow, this is weird. And I'm still healing from the veterans. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to go to like therapy for my arm. They gave me that IV in August, and I'm like, these makes me want to just, I'm like, this freaking guy.
The body
It
falls
just,
apart. It falls apart at this
yeah. And
age.
then one mistake when at the emergency, and then it takes you a long time to recover. And I'm like, just
I have to
yeah,
watch my diet. I can't eat certain foods anymore because I have a reflux or something. And it's
wow.
stuck in there. So I have to some days I just have to go on liquids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's no scar tissue from previous operations.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Sometimes when I eat certain things, I pay dearly. It's like I can't eat certain things. I'll like feel like bloated, or like I'll feel a little wheezy. Like I'll eat something, like I ate these pistachios, right? And they're really good. And I'll buy like the thing, they're already shelled. And then I came across this study that was saying that these companies that, oh yeah, they claim to be natural, but they're like, I forgot the name of the pesticide that they spray these pistachio trees with. And the guy was saying, he goes, this is a problem. He goes, so I'm saying that's why whenever I eat these things, I start to feel kind of like a wheezy type of breathing thing. Because I thought it was the salt in them or something. And I'm saying, why is it that whenever I eat these, I just get this symptom? And, that's the thing. A lot of people won't even put two and two together. It's like people that play the golf. They might get a side effect from this, never realizing it's from the pesticides that they're spraying on the golf course.
Sure.
And they're inhaling this. They're there for hours, and yeah, so and it's contaminating the drinking water. That's the craziest thing.
We do shower and it gets into our skin pores.
Yep. Yeah. It just, they say you absorb more from a shower than you do, drinking water. Yeah. During that.
So you can't win. It's like, geez.
Yeah. It's all around. And then you look up.
we're just trying to survive in this mess.
No, you're right. You're right. It really, I tell you, man, when I lay down, it's like I really don't want to get up, but I think
That's
to
why I'm
myself,
starting to supplement with these injectables because they say that's better, that your body will absorb it better if it's injected. Rather than,
yeah, they say it bypasses the GI tract,
yeah.
so it doesn't have to be digested. Yeah, it goes right into the
It
bloodstream.
does make sense. So I'm giving that a shot, but that's why it works.
Yeah, no, it's definitely better than like intramuscular injections. Goes into the tissue or the blood source. They say a lot of guys that do the steroids and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Arnold talking about that, like saying it bypasses, like when they take the pills, like when I watched that show Pump and Iron and stuff back in the
Oh
day,
yeah, I remember
and
that.
they were saying the liver, the people, those guys that take the steroid pills usually have a lot more problems because the liver has to process all of
Yes.
the junk. And that's why the injection, is, I guess it's a little better. I don't know. Well, all of those guys in the sphere, Bulldog, he was on it. I think the Prune, Pigwood was boasting about taking it. Dirty Eddie was taking it. And I'm like, what about just exercise and eating healthy, man? If
What's
you
crazy
can.
is I don't try to bodybuild anymore, but if I was, I actually prefer the natural look. Like, you ever see the
Yeah. Yep.
bodybuilder? That looks. I would much prefer to look like that than the
Exactly.
steroid guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And women like the natural look, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like these guys are like overcompensating. And so many of them, Cooper, took it, Grandma Durag Tomasi, uh, he was definitely, he's like you, he looks like he's on steroids, he's like a little like crab or something now, you
Not
know?
to sound phobic, but it's a known fact that a lot of bodybuilders, and you said this before too in previous streams, that they're just not straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
a known fact. It's
Yeah.
common knowledge.
Yeah. Big known fact. The guy, Derek, that does more plates, more dates,
Mhm.
he talked about that too. He said, look, once you get past a certain level of muscularity, you're not attracting women as much as you are men.
Exactly.
And these guys are addicted to that. So we already know it's like something's very odd there,
And once you stop, guess what? You deflate. It's like it looks terrible after you stop.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, it's over at that point. Yeah, there's a lot of guys with before and after pictures, and yeah, it's and I've noticed guys like RFK Jr., the president cabinet, he's
Mhm.
on steroids hard on TRT and all of that.
Oh,
You know,
jeez.
yeah, he's a weird guy, man. They said he cut off like a raccoon's thing and ate it,
Mhm.
like he was doing some ritual thing, man. And it's a big story too. They talked about that. I said, wow, this guy's sick. He did it in front of his kids.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's like I mean, just a sick thing. And I think the story gets even sicker. I think he did it off of a dead raccoon that was roadkill.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, you look at some of the sick, then he's on a podcast. I couldn't believe this. He's saying to the guy on the podcast, this is RFK Jr., he's not afraid of germs because he has sniffed cocaine off of toilet seats.
Wow.
He said that. And I'm like, you hear these things and you're like, that can't be true. Let me look it up. And then you see the video, like, holy smokes.
And these are the guys running the country. How's
Yeah, it defies logic. It's like he actually said that.
Mhm.
And it's like, I mean, yeah. Oh, matter of fact, I don't know if it's Pete Hesgeth. I think he's the Secretary of Defense.
Mhm.
He was reading off a biblical quote, and they just started being like, this gotta be, he was reading off the quote that Samuel Jackson said in Pulp Fiction before he was shooting guys, where he was like, and I am the Lord's, thing, and people caught it and they said, what the heck is this guy doing? It's a circus.
It is.
It's a freaking circus. It's like you got one guy cutting off raccoon, sniffing toilet seat coke, and the other guys in the Epstein files. The other, it's just like, what the heck is? I don't know if you saw the lady that's doing the preaching for Trump now, being that his former spiritual advisor just got busted for raping a 12-year-old and only did 6 months out of the 4 years that he
No,
got.
I really don't follow this stuff too well because I
This
get tired of it. But
This is so crazy. If you ever see this lady, I forgot her name. It's a blonde lady. She's the new spiritual advisor. She's literally on the Benny Hinn level. I don't know if you remember Benny Hinn.
I remember him.
She is Benny Hinn, like doing the motions and people are falling down.
Mm-hmm.
This is the White House spiritual advisor. And don't forget, next weekend, I think, is it next weekend?
Mhm.
Or I think it was this weekend coming up. That's the White House Correspondents' Dinner that's going to be pre-party hosted by Grindr.
Jeez.
I had to look. When I saw that, I said, this has got to be a meme. This has to be a meme. And that's when I did the stream. I think it was like, I don't know, 10 days ago or something. And I was like, this can't be true. And the killer is Trump didn't go to none of the Correspondents' Dinner in his first term. He actually protested it. He didn't go last year. This is the first one he's going to. It's like, go figure, right? It's like the first one he goes to is when it's hosted by Grindr, basically, the pre-party.
Well, it's like, I think they're coming out and saying what they're.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're coming out. There was another guy, I forgot where I saw the video, but they have a boat. It's a fully, I think it's like a fully gay boat party for MAGA. So it's all, and I was like, this can't be real, but it's real.
Jeez.
So all of the criticism that people have, it's like, yeah, now what? It's like, it's the pot calling the kettle black. And, we don't have anything against people, whatever their orientation is, fine. Just don't lie.
Yeah.
It's like, don't lie to people, at least, don't be predatory.
But we'll have to admit, I mean, the actions taken by not everybody in that community, but quite a few, because I've heard some people refuse to go to those parades, the parades they have and everything like that. There are some people who are, obviously not straight, but they want nothing to do with that because they don't like the debauchery that's seen in those things. Because it's, going around naked in a parade or half naked, that's if you're going to do it, keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to act like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're just a lot. MAGA Mike, who came in the chat a few times, he said he's done. He's not with Trump anymore, but he's still keeping the MAGA. He's saying make America affordable again or something. But I'm so glad he saw the truth. I'm so glad he saw the truth. It's like he said this stream woke him up. I was like, wow, thanks.
Yeah, see, so you do get the people. It does work. Just got to give it time and not get distractions in the way, and I think it'll be fine. It'll get, And,
I think I'm going to concentrate more on the videos, maybe, and just see how that goes and still stream. I'll stream like you're usually off on Tuesdays.
Yeah, Tuesdays or Wednesdays, usually.
Okay, so yeah, maybe just Tuesday and Wednesday or more.
No, just Tuesday and Wednesday, but then sometimes they'll call me last minute. I need.
Okay, yeah, because maybe I'll stream these 2 days and then put out videos on some of the other days, and just
Sure.
I'll see how it goes because Jake does have a point. It's like, all right, it's not it's not what it was, but I mean, it's like I'm not really pushing for that anyway.
That's not the right attitude. Let's forget about what it was. That's what it could be is the right attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's not live in the past. Let's look in the future.
Exactly. So I just figure,
keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. But I got to get up a little early tomorrow. I mean, it's really fun kicking it with you here.
Likewise, great
man.
discussion.
Yeah.
Especially I don't get with people in my regular life. So believe me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too, man. It's always a pleasure. I'm glad Azroon came on and Jake and Ragamuffin Vision. That was a cool conversation. Yeah, brother. Blessings, bro. Definitely cool person, man. Definitely cool person. I'm surprised he knows Shift, man. That's very, very shocking.
I thought Shift disappeared. I guess he's still around.
Yeah. He's kind of he had did videos on camera. I think I don't know who might have goaded him into doing it, but he he definitely man. Always welcome to see Ragamuffin Vision again, man. Whenever you're ready to stop by. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna try to stream and then I'll work on a video when I get back. But yeah, man, it's been a good one, man. Take care. Have a great night.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Okay.